Then you don't list on the tractor.
No, you don't want to get caught doing that.
All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order, and we'll start with roll call.
Okay, Mayor Menny.
Here.
Brenneman.
Here.
Keel.
Here.
Monahan.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
And Jones.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And none. We have a motion to approve the minutes from 5/7/2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 5/17, or 5/7, is that right? 7?
That would be. Yep.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, next we got bills.
Motion to approve bills as written.
Have a second?
Second that.
All right, discussion. Hearing none. Vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Berman?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nelson.
Yes.
All right, next up, we've got a few minutes for public comments, public input on non-agenda items. I don't believe you have things to cover.
Hello, council. I want to introduce my intern this evening, Brayden Hilton. Brayden, where are you at? Can you step on in really quick? Yeah. He is interning with the Hartford Area Development Foundation. This summer, he is a Aberdeen, South Dakota native, a graduate of the second best university in South Dakota, University of South Dakota. I think State and I can agree on that one thing. And interned for Disney World in Florida, and also in the office of Senator John Thune in Aberdeen. So Brady this year will be working on economic development projects, including downtown. That'll be one of his projects this year as well. And Ricky and Kelly are here at the downtown committee, and they are very engaged in getting downtown up and running this year. So.
Very good. Very good. Welcome.
You're excited to be here, so thank you all.
Yes, thank you. Speaking of the downtown, is that next meeting tomorrow night about that community mural? Is that correct?
May 29th is the next one.
May 29th?
Yes.
Okay, not 27th. Okay, thank you.
As a brewery, and that's a plus.
There you go. All right, we are not quite at 7:05, so we're gonna go to our special event application, the 2019 Jamboree event. We got that on there, Leah, so jump out of order and get that.
All right. So, like I said last meeting, I will be here for the Jamboree event. I did put everything on. There was two things that after our meeting last night that I wanted to just include. One would be for the organization supplying for alcoholic beverages as described, to add the Ball Diamond Park on Sunday. There's gonna be a kickball that needs having, and I thought since it is for all ages that they may wanna have a beverage or two. I don't know if we really technically need it. It's in the park and I know it's allowed in the park, but I do want you guys just to kind of call that out, just to add that. And then everything else is on the schedule that I hope you guys got information on. Craig, did you also give them or include the yes, okay. One thing I do want to kind of do that we haven't done in the past, you'll notice on the street dance setup, we have indicated where we're going to be fencing it, just again to secure it better. One of the pieces for the alcohol that I had indicated for specific locations, then we did indicate for Saturday night it's at the dance within the fenced in area. So basically anything outside of the fenced in area is like it would normally be on any other night of the week. So if there's issues outside of the fence area, the deputies can handle it any way they see fit. So we have for security, there will be security there checking both entrances. We have changed a little bit about what's going to be included or be able to be included to bring into the dance. Again, trying to keep the dance a little bit more on the safe end. You'll notice on there for the street dance, locate where the Saturday night street dance is. We have like no duffel bags, no backpacks, no coolers, and no outside alcoholic beverages. Again, trying to just kind of keep it a little bit more contained within just the street dance area. We also have indicated to you where we're looking at putting the beer gardens, where the band stage will be, so there's no question where that's located. Where we're gonna have set up for tables, the porta potties, and in addition to that, the ticket booth. One of the things for food vendors, we're gonna try to also limit them to just the north end of the area. So that should all be indicated. So that's one of the differences that we have on this year's event form that is a little different than the past. In the past, we just asked for leniency. This year, we're just trying to keep it within where the Jamboree events are occurring and not just throughout the entire town. Because obviously, if Jamborees is in the park, somebody's doing something not supposed to, south of town, north of town, wherever, that's not inclusive of the event. Questions?
Appreciate the layout on here, I like the drawing of it and just specifying where you're in all everything, how you're gonna control everything.
Yep, trying to keep it a little simplified. That way there's no question about where everything's located at. And then you also notice on there, we do ask the committee if we would be able to, like we have in the past, continue to use city workers because they're very good about knowing where things are at and where they go. And Craig's really good at keeping them all under control.
Along with city equipment. We need some city equipment too, so.
Yep.
Motion to approve special events application permit for 2019 Jamboree Days event, including the addition of a Sunday in the park consumption of alcohol. Is that it?
For the kickball, yep.
Yeah, for kickball.
Second?
Motion and second, discussion, questions? Now we'll vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
And I will be back after the event to give you a full summary.
All right, thank you for all your work.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, now we'll move over to our 7:05 hearing, which is the malt and beverage license renewals. So, got a look at all these in our packet. Any updates, anything, Teresa, anything that you're paying special attention to, or Karen, I'm sorry?
It's the same as last year with the exception of Blue 42 has decided not to renew. They basically used it for off sale of beer and they don't sell enough off sale to justify the cost of the license, so they just decided to drop it. But everyone else is the same as past.
Questions from council?
We do these all at once or the individual?
Normally all at once.
Last year's on it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the beverage licenses for 2019, 2020 for Buffalo Ridge Brewing, CNC&F, The Goat, Olson Oil, RT Stop, Dolgen, Hartford Inns, Stomping Ground.
Second.
Discussion. All right, vote. Brenneman?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nelson.
Yes.
Just a second, there we go. 7:10, we got our public hearing resolution 2019-3, a resolution of necessity for the 9th Street Improvement Project. So, any more background you'd like to give on this one, Teresa? This was what we looked at last meeting. Now it's being presented as a resolution of necessity.
Right, as the council indicated, they wanted to look at adding 9th Street to part of our Vandermark project. It's Supplementary plans were drafted by our engineer. Notices were sent to the paper along with notices to the adjacent property owners, a copy of the resolution. In the resolution, it states the total cost of the project, what would get back in the special assessments, and then a list of the special assessed properties. So if we want to move ahead with possibly adding this, like I said, this is a public hearing, so anybody for or against it can give you their feedback, and the council can then go from there if you want to decide whether you want to add this to the project or not.
Anybody from the public like to speak on this for a moment? Okay, if you would, come on up to the podium. Yep. Make sure Karen has your name and address for the record.
Richard Brake, 6721 East Dugout, Sioux Falls. And I'm the owner at the apartment building on 307 East 9th Street. And I got this sent to me in the mail, and I didn't have time. I've been out of town to talk to Teresa more about it. Just wondering the timelines on it. Obviously, that road gets beat up pretty bad. I worked at Schmitz Call and Associates for 25 years as a civil engineer, so I understand the need for stuff like this. And I was head of most of their estimating and stuff like that. The questions that I kind of have are and maybe this could be answered, I don't know, at this meeting, if it's just being talked about or they're pretty much on the way, because I know they've been out there working on, but are the unit prices for the change order, are those the same as the original contract price?
Yes.
Yeah, or that you're working with the contractor to extend those quantities and hold those unit
Okay,
prices.
will those quantities be for review by us that are gonna be assessed valued?
Mhm.
Okay, then, also, like in my case, I already have curb and gutter there and some driveway approaches. Is that being sacrificial, or is he gonna change the grade at all on that?
We'll probably be changing the grade throughout there. We haven't gotten to that level of knowing exactly, how those facilities will be impacted, but at this point, I would anticipate having them to redo those areas and change the elevation.
And maybe some of this conversation I have with Stockwell on it, possibly. What utilities, I mean, like right now, I'm on the sewer and the water. And are they gonna be running sewer mains and waters out to that new area, the new development? And am I gonna be responsible for some of that payment when I'm already hooked up?
No, right now they're just assessing for the street costs, so that'd be the $100 per foot, that's in the resolution. There's no assessments beyond that for utilities.
So let's just say, for instance, if I get to keep my curb and gutter and my driveway approaches, then would it be a fair statement to say that I'm getting charged $21,000 for asphalt and gravel and some subgrade prep?
In that instance, I don't know if we ever had that in the past, I guess, of someone that we didn't have to replace those, but we would sure evaluate that, I guess. If we are able to salvage some of those, then we would look at that and see, because we obviously can't assess more than what the improvements are.
As far as the options for financing, if I choose to do it on a 10-year, what interest rate would that be? And that would just be a take it on taxes?
Yeah, and it's a 10% through the county, so it's a pretty hefty, interest rate. You do it that way, but what they do, we send it to the county and you'd get a statement just with your tax statement for the assessment each year.
I'm just wondering if there's anybody else in the audience that have adjoining land, and I guess wondering what their views are on this.
I got adjoining land, so.
Okay, well, I'm done for now, but is this voted tonight and is it a done deal, or?
Once you kind of cover that, we're gonna discuss as a council and vote on that, at least vote on the necessity. Steps after that, I guess I'd maybe want a little clarification on if there'd be other steps after that too.
So if you vote on this to approve it, we'll go ahead and, move forward with adding it to the project. But there will be, after this, a resolution for the bond, so we have to publish a resolution for a bond, where you can speak it on that, if city should take out a bond or not for this project, which we are planning to do. And then, once the project is complete and before we actually assess the property, we basically kind of send out the same information to you and all the property owners, and you can come up and either agree with the assessment or protest the assessment.
So like right now, mine's at like 21,000,
Right.
you know, and I know how this goes, I inspected streets for 20-some years. You know, it doesn't always quite go, and especially with the weather we're having, I mean, there could be some, there could be some fabric, or whatever. So, in my case, like 21,000, that could be a plus or a minus, depends on what gets deducted or added to.
Wouldn't be a plus, cause the council.
Because right now it has a limit of that.
Yes, this is setting the limit, yeah,
Okay.
so it couldn't go any higher than this because we have that cap of $100 a linear foot. So it wouldn't go any more if, like I said, if you were able to utilize your curb and gutter or,
Well, I do have
Something
some
like that, we
drainage
can really
problems there, so
consider
I'm
that.
not, I mean, here again, I'm not designing that project, I didn't
Right.
do the topo in, but, you know, I do know I have some drainage issues,
Sure.
but I didn't build that building, I didn't
Yeah.
do it. It was built in 98 with somebody else, but.
So,
So,
at this point, that's the maximum it would be.
well, we always liked it to go down, but, you know.
yeah,
some-
we do too.
So then I take it the city of Hartford's picking up the differential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then the difference between, you know, the cost per linear foot between that $100 and whatever the actual cost is,
So now we get a fancy,
plus all
we get
utilities.
a fancy street out there now with street lights, does that mean the taxes go up then?
Our taxes have been going down, so that's the good
Utility
point.
is at an all-time low.
All right, well, I guess that's all I have.
Yeah, if you have questions down the road,
Yeah, I'll give you. This one.
I do have a point, maybe just to expand on just a little bit. If in fact his curb and gutter is found to be plumb with the future project, what would be the protocol, the step for us, and I'm sorry, your name again, sir?
Richard Bray.
Richard, for Richard not to be assessed the full $100 per linear foot?
We would.
We've never had it happen before, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
curious.
I mean, when the job's done, assessment roll will be presented to you folks before it goes on to the taxes. So at that point, that's where we make any adjustments that occurred out in the field and present that to you at the end of the job. So that's where we would adjust any pricing or any footages that change, or those sorts of things.
And Richard would be notified of that?
Yeah, because I'm kind of
They'll
very
all get
confused, and
notification.
I'd want to review that.
Yeah, everybody gets a notification when the
Yeah.
assessment roll is ready.
Okay.
They
it's on
get the
public
same,
hearing
they
again,
have to have a public hearing again, so.
so you'll get that information.
And we'd be notified by mail.
Yep,
on
yep.
That we can speak again if we feel we
Yep.
had a problem with the cost.
Yep, exactly.
I think it's a good idea, don't get me wrong. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah, this year especially has really pointed out the weaknesses in that gravel road up there and just what we have going on up there. Just, to me, it looks like, well, we're up there, we're working, we're not gonna get the prices any cheaper down the road. It's just, yeah, we're get it done. Come on up.
And they're right on the corner, the mess they call it. The $100 running foot, is what, that 90 would be the same as the
Yep.
other one going that way?
Yep, you're getting assessed $100 for Vandermark and then for
Yeah,
Ninth Street,
right,
yep.
right. I'm just wondering if it was gonna be 100 or if they're gonna have another contractor come in. If that's the case, why not do this contractor and get it done with?
Yeah, that's our goal.
The other question I have is, on Vandermark, the sidewalks out in front of us, it was brought up to me that since it isn't a new development, why are sidewalks forced upon the landowners?
being it isn't a new development, you're
Yeah,
saying?
because there's a lot of or a lot of property in Hartford here that don't have any sidewalks.
We've got an expert on this council, a couple of them about sidewalks.
We've heard he's about ready to give you a lesson on it. So pay attention.
I'm also gonna have to I'll be the recipient of a sidewalk, which I think is encouraging and positive, given the fact of the amount of pedestrian traffic we do see on that street. So our sidewalks aren't tied to the age of the development. They're tied to the improvements made. And so in this case, they're tied to the street improvements, if I'm not misspeaking.
Okay, the other question I had was, the neighbor brought it up to me, but, the ones that are putting in the curb and gutter, they don't have anything to do with filling in their driveways that they've tore out already. That'll be a subcontractor from what we understand. No, I don't know. And
Yeah,
also,
so,
I guess
I
the
mean,
sidewalks.
SoCal is the general contractor on the job. They have a sub being CBC is a concrete company, so they'll do the curb and gutter. They usually do the driveways and flat work, but I have seen them sub it out if they get too busy.
From what I understand right now, the neighbor checked and said
Yeah,
that subcontractor is not gonna do the flat work.
and I haven't heard that specifically, but it's SoCal's contract in the end. I mean, they're the ones that do the contracting through.
And the neighbor wanted to have the rest of the driveway tore out because of the 1.5 foot drop.
You know,
It's gonna be in front of us.
you know.
So he wanted to taper it all the way instead of going out down the quick.
Yeah, and we're working with him so he understands how those are changing. I know some of the property owners along there have requested additional work beyond this project to finish their driveways out or whatever it might be. And these contractors are really busy right now, they're not accepting any of that work, and they're quoting it pretty high from what I understand, so, but it's just, they're not interested in doing any additional work, so.
Right.
I've been telling people if you want that work done, you might have to find someone locally or something like that to do those projects, because our contractor doesn't wanna take those on, because he's got a deadline on this job, and he's got deadlines on other jobs too.
Well, that's our problem then. I mean, if it's so
Yeah,
happens that we need flat work,
Yeah, if you want improvements beyond, what our project is, that is the property owner's responsibility.
well, I wasn't even notified that when they tore out my driveway, they just had a red mark there where supposedly it was gonna be.
Yeah,
But, I don't know how steep from that red mark going down to the highway.
and we can sure coordinate with you out in the field and
I'd appreciate
give you
it.
that understanding, we'll set some stakes or something for you, we can shoot.
Because,
help you with that.
If you go up,
Yeah.
winter comes around every year and
Yeah. I guess any questions you have about the design of the project, we can sure handle them outside of this meeting. So-
okay. You got a card?
Yep.
Teresa, all right, here we go, same old question, correspondence with Mr. Howell.
This went out to all the property owners, I have not heard anything from him on that. He called, Jesse's phone and left a message, was that, last Friday?
Thursday.
Something? Said he'll be in to talk with us, we haven't seen him, once again, so. And it was no mention of anything specific of this, just say he'll be in to talk with us, right? So, I haven't received any questions, any calls, any comments, so.
All right, paint me a picture if Mr. Hago continues to not be present and we move forward, what's the aftermath of the $86,000? I mean, if he refuses to pay.
Well, as we move forward, if we do add it to the contract and move forward, like I said, there'll be another public hearing, he'll get another notice with the exact amount, if it's any different than that $100. All the property owners will, there'll be another public hearing, which he can come voice his opinion. if he doesn't come to the council and voice anything, you know, one way or the other, it gets sent to the county.
All right, that's good, good, got it.
So that's the last step.
That's probably what's gonna end up happening too. Okay.
But yeah, I haven't heard anything from him. Any questions or?
Okay, well, surprise, surprise.
Do we have any motions, questions, or discussion?
I have one more. Excuse me, I got one more question for Mitch on Paul's question. So you said that you will coordinate with these guys, so if he has to line up his own contractor,
Well,
I mean, can you give that information so if he has a,
yeah,
you know, so if they're gonna go, that it doesn't come up and do this, and they can,
yeah, I mean, I can sure help them understand what elevations everything's gonna get
okay.
built to.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause, I mean, you don't wanna have to have them jump up a,
Right.
But right now, we've been told it's a 1.5 foot drop from, where the concrete marking on my driveway, or even from the neighbor, practically to his house, 1.5 foot drop down, so it's gonna be a pretty good grade going down there.
We'll get some stakes set out there for you, and then that'll give you a better idea of what that'll look like. And I can meet with you out there and you can go over it.
Alright, do we have a motion?
Make motion to approve resolution 2019-3.
Second.
Second. More discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Teal,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nelson,
You flip me, guys. Yes.
Brenneman,
Yes.
Jones,
yes.
Monahan.
No.
Okay. Alright. Carries. We'll go to our 7:20 public hearing, special malt beverage license for 2019 Read Committee. Back up.
Back up. You guys just need me to get steps to meet you. I didn't walk much today.
This is just basically so in conjunction with Jamboree Day, so that the Hartford Jamboree Committee has the rights to sell alcoholic malt beverages. Like we did last year.
Like we did last year.
Yep, pretty much the same.
Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion.
Want to include the waiving of the fee?
Yes, I would, including the waiving of the fee, which I didn't do last time. Dang it.
Still second.
Alright, we'll vote. Brenneman,
Yeah.
Jones,
Yes.
Monahan,
Yeah.
Keel,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Okay,
Alright, good deal.
perfect.
Thank you. Seven thirty public hearing is coming up.
I just have one question.
Come on up for a quick.
Quick one. From what I understand, that Ninth Street,
Yes,
that was approved.
that was approved. That was, yep, that sure was.
That's a quick question I want to talk about.
You just wanna make sure. Make sure done.
My fault.
I hope it gets done this fall.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You gotta be a canoe soon.
Alright, waiting for it to say 7:30 on my computer here, and I did. 7:30 public hearing and first reading of ordinance 668, 669, 670, 671. The 2018 International Building Codes. That's the update on there. In background,
I think I'll let Paul take it over and kind of give you a rundown of kind of any significant changes and address your questions.
Good evening. So the City of Hartford has for many years adopted the International Code Council, a family of codes, the residential codes, the RSC, the building codes, the IBC, fire code, and also existing building codes. So what this meeting is tonight, a public hearing, is to adopt the new 2018 codes from the 15 codes. We're following along with everybody around this area in Minnehaha County. Sioux Falls is going to adopt them June 1. Minnehaha County will be this summer, the state will be this summer. So the code books are quite thick. There's amendments to those. We follow the amendments to the City of Sioux Falls. They actually do the building code background work for this geographical area. They've also talked to the Home Builders Association. We've talked to and met with the Planning and Zoning Board for Hartford, and they want to move forward with those. The major reason we want to follow adopt the codes and also do the amendments is to stay with those contractors who work in this community, but do the majority of the work over in Sioux Falls. We don't want them to have to learn a different book when they come over here to Hartford. We want to be workable with them. It makes it easier on the building inspector as well. So many of the amendments that follow along from the non-code of 12 to 15 to 18 are the same ones, and then those are following through. I can go over a couple of brief ones that are different from the 15 code. They're going to be storm shelter requirements for around the country because of the tornadoes that have been occurring. Updated locking devices in educational facilities because of the school shootings we've had. Habitable attics. A lot of homeowners around the country are starting to use their upper stories of their homes, and so the code is recognizing that and addressing a habitable area and upper level. Before it had not addressed it quite as adequately. Tiny houses are being in Appendix Q. So if you want to do a tiny house in this community, if we adopt it, that would be acceptable. I talked to the City of Sioux Falls building official today, and he went along with it obviously as well. And he just wants to make sure that the tiny home, when it comes in their community, gets the wheels off. If it's a mobile home, it goes in a mobile home park. But if it's going to be a small home, tiny home, then we better rules for it. Sprinklers around decks. They've added some requirement to having some fires in apartment complexes, and so they've done some improvements around it. But sprinklers on decks and things. So smoke detectors becoming wireless. Carbon dioxide detector becoming wireless stuff, and Skill knows about that. So I mean, we could go through and be here for hours, but we appreciate it if you vote yes, and then we'll see you in 3 years when we do the new code. So
we should go through this. I mean, it's quite important. I mean, it literally is. We could be here for hours.
We were counting on you to do that, Dennis.
I have done some.
Yeah, there's quite a few little changes, but anyway, I think it's important for us to stay up with the state of South Dakota and certainly Minnehaha County and the city of Sioux
Forgive me
Falls.
if I overlooked it. When would we make this?
I think it would come in probably the effective date, Teresa, I would say like the third week of June.
Effective date would be June 19th. Because it's an ordinance, allow first reading tonight, second reading at our next meeting, the 20 days publication, so it'll be June 19th before it's actually effective.
Does it go into effect in Sioux Falls?
June 1, so just 3 weeks. So if technically, if a contractor came over here and wanted to do something for those 19 days, we would still go to the 15 code, and we would work it out. So. But once they've got their mindset to the new changes, it's very difficult when they drive down the interstate to forget that Hartford's under a different code. So I think we did a great job, I think, with planning, zoning, and Teresa's help to get this thing rolling, so we're right behind them.
Have we ever considered exempting the HVAC portion of this, since we don't have an inspector?
Yeah, it hadn't necessarily come up. There, like I said, there's I think one change that we reverted back to, and that is because of some children that are falling out of windows in apartment complexes. Unfortunately, Sioux Falls years ago had amended it to make it a window that could be lower in residential homes and apartment complexes. But unfortunately, we've had some children fall out of the homes. So now they've moved that standard back up to 24 inches and 36 inches, which is what the national code says. But historically, there are differences that we've done here in Sioux Falls for size of egress windows, the distance between a guardrail spindle and et cetera, and it's just worked out that way. Home Association has exhaustively gone through these, Travis probably to answer your question, and they chose to go with the change or not the changes.
First reading, so we'll get to look at it again next meeting. Any questions or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve, first reading of ordinances 668, 669, 670, and 671 of the 2018 International Building Codes.
Second.
Further discussion or questions? We'll vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yeah.
Keel?
Yes.
Johnson? And Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Paul.
both.
Paul?
Thank you, Teresa, and planning and zoning. For all the work, getting all that thing not ready to go. We'll look at it again next time. Second reading of ordinance 666, the rezone application submitted by CNC Ventures to rezone portion of Crestwood Addition from natural resource to regional commercial. No changes from last meeting. Reads and looks exactly the same. Have any motions?
Make a motion
questions?
to approve ordinance 666.
Second.
Discussion. We'll vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
And Monahan.
Yeah.
Alright, and then we have second reading of ordinance 667, which is rezone application submitted by Western Meadows. To rezone a portion of Western Meadows Addition from residential to light industrial. No changes on this one either.
Yep. Okay, okay.
Motion to approve ordinance 667, rezone for Western Meadows.
Second.
Discussion. None? Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan.
Yeah.
Alright. Next one is one we discussed last meeting a little bit, policy 2019-1, capitalization policy.
Yeah, and like I said at the last meeting, our auditors went in and did our 2018 audit. Our current capitalization policy sets $500 as the threshold for any capital assets or fixed assets, if you call them that. So basically anything that's over $500 goes on our capital asset list. We have to depreciate it out. We have a lot of things on our capital asset list. She says that's not typical for most cities. She recommends that we bump that up to 5,000 actually, because you just want to get the major, depreciate the major purchases. You don't want to depreciate, computers are even less than 500 now. You just want to get the loaders, the land, the bigger things, the bigger equipment, I should say. So this is under recommendation from our auditor to change this.
I'd make a motion to approve policy 2019-1, the capital assets policy.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Brenneman?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Move through. Next up, we've got fire department report, Chief Schmidt.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. Start off by recapping April. We ran a total of 33 calls in April, so a fairly busy month. Didn't think it was that busy until I was getting the numbers put together. 13 of those calls were within city limits of Hartford. Some of the training in April on the EMS side, immunological emergencies, infectious disease, at-risk populations, and EMS safety. On the fire side in April, we trained on ladder truck operations, along with new tender operations and initial attack for structure fires. May training, we already had our EMS training, trained on dealing and assessing stroke patients. Fireside will be training on extrication here tomorrow night. We partnered with the American Red Cross doing smoke detector installs on May 2nd. We installed 158 alarms in 75 homes in Hartford here. 57 of those homes we helped create a fire escape plan for the family and the children. Within those 75 homes, they had 163 existing smoke detectors, but out of those 163, only 76 were operational. And in addition, we had 7 homes with no working smoke detectors at all. So, fairly successful project. We wish we could have had time to do more and be part of it. I know we passed out notices at our pancake feed here Sunday that people that were wanting them could still contact the American Red Cross to make arrangements to get them installed. So that whole project was all provided free of charge to the homeowners, and those were a 10-year life smoke detector. So the batteries are supposed to last 10 years along with the smoke detector. Speaking of the pancake feed, we had held our fundraiser pancake feed on Saturday, fed right at 700 people there, so a good turnout. Appreciate everybody in the community coming out to support us on that. Also on April 24th, we put our new tender in service. That is a truck that has a 3,000 gallon water capacity, 1,000 gallon pump capacity. That was one of the deficits we saw in the last ISO evaluation, to have additional pump capacity. That will gain some of that for our next ISO evaluation. So that's kind of where we've been operationally over the last month there.
Good, you had a busy month.
Yeah. So any questions at all?
Forgive me for not knowing what it, okay, so the tender truck, is this the entire truck entirely, or just
Yes.
component it is? Okay.
Yep. New truck.
And the other trucks, still gonna keep them, still in working order?
We sold the tender to replacing. It was about a
That's right.
19-year-old tender.
That's
So we
right.
sold that to the Inwood Fire Department.
Okay.
That was a 2,000 gallon truck with about a 40 gallon per minute pump on it.
Okay.
Alright, we've got some pieces on here. We got appropriations request for 15,000 for 2019. Looking for motions on that, and then we have the 30,000 for the equipment replacement fund for the new tender truck.
Chief, can you tell me where on the balance sheet those monies coming in from the city fall into?
There actually isn't a line item yet on, let's say, they're going into the bank accounts where the monies go that are coming in from the city. As far as the income and expense part on there's not a line item for 2019 because we have not received anything from the city year to date.
Gotcha.
Is 15 our total appropriation?
15 is what we budgeted, yep, for this year.
And the 30 is money that's been set aside over the.
Yeah, they actually have, each year you've been setting some in this equipment replacement fund, and there's 65,000 actually total in there.
In there.
They're asking for 30 of it.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve the 2019 appropriations for 15,000 for the Hartford Fire Department.
Second.
Discussion? None, vote, Keel,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Monahan,
Yeah.
Jones,
Yes.
and Brennan.
Yes. And I'd make a motion also to allocate the 30,000 from our equipment replacement fund for the new tender truck to the Hartford Fire Department.
Second. I'll give it to Jessica.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
What was the change order on the truck, chief?
A couple small things as it went through engineering, based on the original design, there were some things that, they couldn't quite do or better ideas to make it a better truck, so. When we originally bid it and approved it, we allowed a 5% changeover allowance, we came well under that amount, so. But there were some small enhancements in the lighting package was one. It amounted to about 8 different small items in there.
Is that brand new truck?
Yes, it does.
Alright, any further discussion?
Nice price.
Alright, we'll vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yep.
Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nelson.
Yes.
Alright, good deal.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much. Alright. Next we have Nate with our recreational director report.
Hi, Mayor, Council. So I just want to focus basically on kind of an update from the Sports and Rec Committee, and then kind of focus on the community ed aspect, which Brad is here to also help us discuss. So as far as the Sports and Rec Committee, just wanted to update you. We're going forward with the kickball tournament, and we just got the kickballs in this week. So I'm excited for the opportunity to do that here. Kind of making the online push there with that, and starting to get some signups. As far as out at the complex, scoreboards and backstops will both be replaced here in the next few weeks. And then also, or I guess the scoreboards will go up for the first time, not replaced. And then we're also working with Stockwell on an itemized, prioritized kind of list, so we have a better idea of what we'd like to look for as far as numbers to different pieces of the complex going forward here. Then I also have on here just sports and rec, this survey discussion. I'm trying to figure out the best way to reach the community, to figure out what our offerings should be as we create programs out of the city. And I just had some conversation leading questions here to kind of get an idea of your guys' thoughts on that, and then kind of what the best approach for that would be with the community here. So yeah, they're in your packet, but basically just kind of like, what are your thoughts on conducting a sports and rec survey to kind of get an idea of what people are interested in, both youth and adults, as well as kind of what would the best methods be, and would like mailing be worth the money, or other ways of gathering people and information. So
We probably don't reach everybody with the water bills, do we?
You won't reach apartments and like the trailer court, I mean, usually they'll just go to the landlord. That would be hard.
How much money do you think you'd spend on a mailer?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
Jesse, what would you predict?
In Hartford, in the size, in the printing cost, if you do just a postcard, probably less than $400.
Karen just thought 400 is what we spend when we put out a newsletter, a one-page, newsletter. That's what she just.
Very convenient.
Like in sync.
Could you
They're in
wish you could do that,
sync.
Travis?
Let's work in the
Yes.
same office.
And we do have a bulk mailing stamp, and we can go just to our area code, just to our mailing. So I mean, you could hit
Right, everybody.
every mailbox,
Right.
yeah.
That's what I was
versus
asking.
the water bill,
But then it would have to be like filled out and then returned, so that, right? Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
That's a good question.
yeah.
So then
Whether it
do
be,
you pay the
returned
postage
to
for
City
that?
Hall, or you pay the postage for that.
What if there's a link on there to direct them to an online deal?
Yeah, I also, I definitely want to have an online portion of it. I'm just wondering, with an online portion, the contacts I have are like the people I know and I get input from, if that makes sense. So like, I know the different associations as well as the people who follow like us on Facebook and stuff. But it's reaching those other people that I think we'd struggle with online. But I mean, I think an online option is also good to gather data, obviously, certainly in the 21st century. So I'm kind of been arguing with myself over that and kind of wanted to get some guidance.
Could we do both? Or you have to do
I
both?
certainly think we could do both. I just thought it would be interesting to see if it would be worthwhile, the mail out. But just basically an opinion piece. But
Can you do those surveys on Facebook too? Isn't there like a survey thing you can do? I feel like.
I think so.
There's a poll option you can do on
Mhm.
Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm not sure to the extent that you can
do that too.
ask questions on those, but yeah.
Not entirely accurate.
One thing you could do is, unless you need to have a deadline for the survey, is expend all electronic methods you can, you know, scramble up every email address, every contact we have, send out the link, have chamber and the HADC, everybody send it out to their organizations, everybody sends it to everybody. Share it on social media like crazy, and if your response is still lower than you feel like you have an adequate amount, at that point you can do a mailing, you know, and still try to reach more. But if you feel like you have a pretty good response with the electronic version, you essentially do it for free.
True. I think that'd be a good place to start. I like that idea of kind of pushing it the best we can and seeing what we can get for numbers. So
I think it's important to get feedback and know what people want. How you get that information, I don't care.
Fair enough.
As long as we're getting good.
As long as you're getting good feedback, I don't care if you gotta do 10 mailers or put something on the webpage or whatever it is.
Okay.
I think it's valuable to have that information.
When's the next city newsletter coming out?
Our first electronic one will be out in June.
That's
There's no
right,
more paper.
electronic one.
Right, no more paper copies.
So defeated that, or did I forget that kicked in?
They could have a link on that email of where to go to do the survey.
Right.
It could put something in the this one too. So.
Jesse, you've used Survey Monkey before, haven't you? Yeah, so you could help them out or whatever.
I'm sure he's used
Yeah, I
to
can
get
use it.
Augie Sports Track. They love surveys at Augie,
Okay.
so
True.
I'm sure Nate's got
You
it.
got that
down.
covered?
Yeah, I can handle that. So yeah, kind of without any further ado here, I kind of want to push us forward to the community ed discussion. So if Brad, if you wouldn't mind kind of giving a background on it quick, step up to the podium, and then I'll kind of give my perspective on it.
Okay. I did contact Nate a while back and informed him that we do have somebody at the school district who is handling this program right now. And she is asking, you know, is there someone else at this time who could take on those duties? Those duties include contacting people who are in charge of certain programs, like for example, the dance program, community ed. And we title it community ed. So it's not a school-only project necessarily. And so we looked and we thought, well, okay, I thought, any place I've been, Mitchell, Rapid City, the school district works hand in hand with the city on this type of project. For example, both in Mitchell and Rapid City, the city would put together their community ed program book, and we would get that out to the families through the school. And it worked very well, both in Mitchell and in Rapid City. We worked closely to, okay, what facilities are needed for the community ed program? Do we need to, you know, schedule some things in a gymnasium or whatever? And we've talked a little bit with Nate about that. We would look to provide what facilities we would be able to provide. We would make sure that the school activities are the priority, but I still feel in my experience, past experiences, there's room for dual use of facilities. The programs that we offer right now vary from year to year. Some of them maintain good enrollment from one year to the next. Some of them we go, yeah, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of people interested in that, so that one's not going to be interested. The instructors are people from within the community or from within the area, and there's a fee for each program, and the fee is dependent on, you know, you need special materials for the program, do you just show up and participate? So the fee structure is basically whatever you deem is necessary to cover the cost. And the instructors are paid as well. I think for most people moving to a city and they recognize as a recreation director, it's a natural fit for them to look there for community education programs. So that's why I contacted Nate and just had initial exploratory conversations. And if you have any questions?
Yeah, so I was pretty excited for the opportunity when Brad and the school had reached out to us. I think it's a really good way for us to establish a relationship with the school for possible other programs we might roll out that might need their use of primarily their indoor facilities. I think it'll also give me a good chance to take on some proven programs, be able to run those and then add in addition to it, as opposed to kind of just jumping in the water with both feet right away, if that makes sense. And then I think it's also a good opportunity for us to build out the website that we've kind of placed on the back burner until we have anything to put on it. This would give us the opportunity to have the programs in order to build out a website and use online registration that I think could be really valuable to both community ed and other programs we'd have going forward. I did list some concerns on here. Most of them I'm not very concerned about necessarily, but they're just priorities. I probably could have phrased it different. It's just that we need to make sure we have a clear facility use agreement, which I have no doubt we will be able to establish one, as well as just making sure we can have good communication through the school without me working directly out of it, as well as just taking on new relationships. The change could possibly impact the different instructors or different people who work for community ed. So yeah, and then I've got some more notes in the packet as well, but otherwise I'd be happy to open up for questions from the council for both Brad and I, as well as possibly Teresa, to try to kind of figure out where you guys are at and how we can get from point A to point B.
We discussed it, if I'm remembering right, Sarah will continue with it through this summer, through this cycle of it, and basically that would give a chance to shadow, see how it all runs, see how things go, and pick it up next year at whatever time.
Correct.
Is this just summer, or is it year round? It's year round.
Year round.
And then the ones that are listed, the community ed activities for this year, those are like the only ones we have right now? Like
I'm
the
not sure what you're looking
basketball, dance.
Currently,
piano,
yes.
I don't know, PIO? What is that?
It's Pilates and yoga. Like
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you would wanna try and maybe expand that a little bit?
I did have some recommendations. I think as we take it on, that I was kind of advised by Sarah that we may want to at least put aside for a year to programs that may put us in the red to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like the school would be okay with that, which would be possibly PIO and the Strategic Games Club. Those are just taking it on, especially brand new to us. Those are two that tend to be either barely breaking even or like slightly in the red. So just as a precautionary measure, I'd prefer not to have those two taken on initially, but look to add possibly a sports camp in the spring similar to the basketball that they have in the fall. That's been very successful. And then look the next year possibly to re-add some programs like that, like a group fitness class for adults or some sort of intellectual type club for children that would kind of be maybe slightly different or rebranded from the strategic games option that they do currently have.
I have a question, Brad. You mentioned Mitchell and Rapid City. Was that one school, or was that all the schools in Mitchell and Rapid City?
All the schools. And just to clarify, I don't know if I'm thinking of the same thing you are, but all of the schools received the catalog, and all of the students and all of the families in all of the schools could choose to participate in the community ed programs.
Well, I guess what I was curious about, because I have no idea how many schools are in Mitchell, and I have no idea how many schools are in Rapid City.
5 in Mitchell and 25 in Rapid City.
So them working in conjunction with one city employee versus West Central working in conjunction with one city. So, that's how I was curious about it.
And, okay, they have a recreation director in each of those, but they have a staff.
How many, I'm a little reluctant, I'm excited that this conversation has started because it was something that was on the radar when we were brainstorming about your position. And there was some reluctance, we were met kind of with a cool reception from the school district at that time, about 3 years ago, so this is very exciting. What's the total, or not total, what's an average number of participants for those programs listed here?
I believe they were included in the package. Otherwise, I can find the.
I think they're in your packet.
Yeah, they're listed in that email from Sarah.
Or at the end.
From
Sarah.
Under the bullet points, that
Yeah,
says
that
Talks about total number of students, I apologize if I
It says like K3 had 50 participants.
There it is.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make me do math today? And I'd be reluctant, unless it was really a loss leader, to cut a couple of those programs. It might seem not in the best interest of the purpose, the mission of the community ed.
Well, and keep in mind that we did change out programs.
Okay.
So it's not that I don't feel that every single program in there, people are gonna go, why is that one cut? You know, they're used to seeing some change
Okay.
in there. So I think, you know, if you check with other cities, recreation programs, the community ed programs, what are they seeing that are very popular? Fortnite, you know.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. So Brad, I see the list here, obviously they target persons age 18 or younger, pretty much, but you used the word families earlier. I wanna make sure I understand the demographics. Would this go for persons of all ages?
Depending on what you offer.
Right.
Like the PIO, for example, that was an adult.
Is it? Yeah, I never heard of it, so.
Yeah.
Pilates, yoga.
Oh.
It's a combo.
Whatever that is.
Sure, I'll sign on that.
So, yeah, you could have, you know, painting classes, art classes that an adult might want. Yeah, I mean, it's really a great, I guess, opportunity for a community to offer an array of things based on where the interest level is per age group. Just community ed programs are.
Okay, I can't believe I'm gonna ask this question, but what the heck, it was asked me about 4 years ago. You ever had bocce ball?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
I'll be darned, son of a gun.
Yeah.
We got one citizen that would love to have bocce ball.
And that's a very serious thing if you're a bocce ball.
Yeah. I still don't know what it is, but I remember the name, because it was a dumb name.
You have to have the right turf.
And that person is 70 years old, so.
I think with this, what we're looking for tonight is really to go ahead and negotiate the details and bring a proposal forward. We're not approving details tonight, we're not approving, yep, definitely, anything like that, more of a green light, you guys bring a proposal to the council, and then we review it again, do a proposal, and take it from there, so.
Correct. I would share with you that the school board has heard this same information, and they are open to proceeding.
I have one more question, if I could, real quick, for Brett. How many hours does Sarah apply to this? Because I assume she's still the executive assistant or whatever her title is.
Yep.
How many hours does she apply to this function a week?
when I visited with her, she said it really fluctuates depending on the time of the year. So startup season in the fall, you know, a fair amount of hours. Did she give you any?
She kind of said the same thing to me. Basically during startup season, it can be really busy where she'll spend quite a few hours a day on it, getting questions, calls, emails about it, and processing signups and stuff. And then kind of once things are up and running, it kind of slows down, except for from the communication aspect, as far as communicating, you know, class changes, canceled, keeping things up to date on social media, contacting the different instructors. So yeah, it was tough to get a real hour amount from her.
Well, keep in mind, none of this is online right now. You've got to get it online. Take care of registration online. Yeah.
I will summarize everything I was saying. I come up with 227 participants. And Sarah reached out to me via text today to say, basically again, how excited she was to have this kind of move to a more community-based and have Nathan's help or whoever with facilitating this program, these programs.
One more thing I just want to note is that Sarah will still be scheduling through the school, so I will be working hand in hand with the past director. So we'll still have that communication aspect as well as scheduling. Shouldn't be an issue, and I've kind of developed a relationship with her here in the last couple of months. So.
Make a motion to approve Nathan continuing his discussions to facilitate coordination of community ed program.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second. Discussion?
I have a question.
Sure, come on up, come all the way up.
More because it's transition time and we do Taekwondo year round. So who's in charge of it and when's it start? Because as far as I know, it's done as far as tonight.
Taekwondo?
Correct.
Through the community ed program?
It is, yep.
Okay, what's the question?
Who's gonna facilitate it at this point? Where is it going? It's kind of open air as to what's happening for the summertime. There's a number of students that were wondering what's happening, and we had no answers.
Okay, I'm not sure if that was a program. Did it normally continue through the summer?
It's a year-round thing.
Yeah, that's correct. I talked with Sarah about that, and it sounds like since it's kind of subcontracted, if that makes sense, that they would make sure they got something in place for the summer, hopefully, is what it sounded like. But I don't have, this isn't me confirming that, but that's what we had possibly mentioned. I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you at this time, but I'd be happy to contact Sarah with that and figure that out.
Well, and I didn't know if she was talking to Master Cuddy or Master JP, or whether it was going through a different organization or what was gonna happen.
I believe she's still will be in contact with them, and we plan to continue it when we take it on with the city. But during this transition stage, I'm not sure the answer in that right now. But I'd be happy to contact Sarah, and if you want to give me your information, we can follow up with you directly.
Well, and I talk to Master Cuddy all the time, so
Okay.
if she's talking to her, then that's fine too, so.
Okay, sounds good.
And yes, adults are in it too, so.
Good.
So with that said, I mean, the community ed program is still going through the school right now, correct? Okay, so this is just a strange coincidence, and
Yeah.
Taekwondo ended tonight, the night we're talking about this.
Well, and it's kind of, it's one of those, school is not on the ends on the 23rd, so then there's no community ed that night. If there was no school for the day, then there's no community ed, but then once summer starts, then it kicks back in.
Right, because right now it's still business as usual, right? We're not, we're not, okay. That's what I thought, I just wanna make sure that I understood.
Alright, motion and second is, motion and the second is really to continue discussions and come forward with a proposal. Is that kind of the gist of what you're thinking there?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Discussion? Hearing none? We'll vote. Monahan?
No.
Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nelson?
Yes.
Right, any other questions, discussion for Nate? Thanks, Nate.
So when you talked with Todd over at Mitchell, did they do a book?
Yeah, they do. I actually have a copy of it on my desk. I could show you after the meeting if you'd like. I'll get that out to the council.
May I ask a question?
You bet.
I heard that you said that it's distributed to the students.
Oops, I'm sorry, you gotta come up.
Sorry. Sorry, so I heard you said that it's distributed to the students in the school. Is it distributed community-wide as well? Or is that your intention to distribute it community?
My intention is to hit all the channels we can. So I'd certainly like to do through the schools as well as possibly a mail out, as well as an online presence, of course.
Okay, I just asked because from my perspective, I've been here a year, I had no idea that there was a community ed program. I did know that there are options in Sioux Falls, but with 3 of my own children and we homeschool, that would be a nice opportunity or option to stay in Hartford to do things like that.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping to do, especially with my position and possibly with this partnership going forward. So
great, thank you.
It's good to hear. Yeah.
Terry.
Is Humboldt still gonna be included in it, through the schools? Or is
I would
is it
say
a Hartford
yes, but we
program?
need to discuss that with the city council.
You
I
know,
would
at this
hope
point,
to.
At this point, we're not even approving that we're taking it on.
Yeah.
We're just approving to continue that discussion, so as far as the details of it, we couldn't give you an answer on that.
I just, if Humboldt's not included in either, then it's part of the community, yeah.
It's community ed though, I don't think it's ever been specific to where you're.
Well, it's just the question of I'm a City of Hartford employee, I think is what she's getting at versus, yeah.
Sure.
Somebody from Crooks wants to bring their kid down for Taekwondo, why would we say no, because they're gonna pay for the class, right?
Yeah, I personally, I don't have an issue. It's
No, I'm just thinking out loud.
No, I get that.
Like, why wouldn't we want somebody from Crooks? to
I would
bring
say
their
that
kid
as
down
long
for
as we
class,
make sure
maybe
we
stop and have lunch
have,
at
you
the
know,
goat or.
correct. As long as we make sure the kids in our community are put first, I would say I don't have a problem.
I've lived in Worthington for 22 years, and I get their community ed schedule mailed to me twice a year.
Wow.
I get the Sioux Falls one.
It's thick.
It is.
It's not as thick as Sioux Falls. but
Yeah, we get the Sioux Falls one.
Alright, we better keep moving.
Alright.
Alright, thank you very much, Fred. Alright, next thing we got up is Chamber Economic Development Report. Jesse?
Hey, good evening, council. My report is in your packet here. Any questions for me?
Just one that we can't ask it here.
Okay. If not, I just wanted to take a few moments to talk about downtown Hartford. The downtown Hartford committee has met a few times now. We've had 3 meetings, I believe. Our 4th one is scheduled for next week sometime. And there's a lot of energy for the downtown businesses to bring downtown Hartford up and up and up and up and up. And one of those things we're going to be considering will be lighting. We talked with Craig. Craig's going to come speak with us next week on the lighting issue. I think it's perhaps while you're here tonight, just make sure we're moving the ball forward. We have decided to rename the Drive to Revive Downtown Committee to the Downtown Hartford Committee. We thought it was more fitting, a little bit more uplifting than insinuating there was something that was bad that needed to be revived. But we had about 6 or 7 active members at this point, and we're refiguring some of our funding sources by August. We really see this as a joint public-private partnership to move the ball forward here, to create more tax base downtown Hartford, or more sales tax revenue, to really also uplift our history here as a prairie town. There is an organization called Main Street USA that has a 4-point approach, which will be incorporated into our mission and vision statements, and will help guide our approach as we take this program and breathe life into it. So if there's anything you want to add, Callie or Ricky or Braden, into that, I'd invite you to. If not,
I think that's good, but Kelly, did you want to say something about farmers market or anything?
Well, I missed you guys last week. I thought that it got pushed to this week, so thank you for approving the downtown market. I've got once a month plan, and so that's going to hopefully
drive some focus to downtown. I'm really hoping that, again, I expressed in our downtown meeting, it's not a Buffalo Ridge project, it's a downtown project, and so I'm going at it from that angle. But basically, yeah, we're just appreciate your support and look forward to more momentum.
Thank you. And Braden, again, will be leading the charge on that for the summer, and he'll be also emailing up the minutes from our meetings to use to have that on record so you can stay caught up in the conversation. We're really hoping to push that pretty hard this summer, so.
So since it was at the building center before, did you, work with them and they're like, yeah, this would be good to move it downtown, or?
On the downtown market?
Yeah.
The farmer's market. So yes, Crystal and I had a conversation with Lisa about that, and she was at a point where either she needed to, what had happened was she was running it before, she had to step back because of what happened with her husband, and the vendors took it over, and basically it dwindled down to hardly anything. Last year was my first experience of the market, and it wasn't great. First impression was not a positive one. I'll just say that. And so I have had it in my heart to, I actually said to my husband that I'm taking it on. We're taking it over, and then it just kind of fell into our laps. So Lisa was ready to let it go, because either she was going to have to get back involved and restart it, or else let someone else take it over, and I'm more than happy to take it on. I already have about a dozen vendors that are scheduled for the first one. More will come as the produce season continues on, and so, like I said, I see it as a great opportunity to put some focus in the downtown area and breathe a little bit more life into downtown.
And this will be Saturdays or Sundays?
No, it's going to be on Thursday.
Oh, Thursday nights.
Thursday evening, the last Thursday of every month. Next week is our first one. The inaugural date, we chose to do Thursday because one, we're open, Ricky's open, Modish is open on Thursdays. We're not open on Sundays, none of us are downtown, and so we would have to open special if we were going to highlight the other businesses that are downtown. And also, this is a town where people tend to like to go out on the weekends. People get their campers, they get their boats, they leave for the weekend. And so we're hoping to optimize by Thursday evening, and I switched it to once a month instead of once a week because I felt that it was a really important thing to create an event that we could really consolidate our vendors, bring a lot of community members to that event, and make it something special so that when people come experience market, they're left with feeling a sense of enjoyment and curiosity and wanting to come back, as opposed to once a week where maybe there's 2 vendors, maybe there's 3 vendors. There's just not as much of an opportunity to have that emotional enjoyment, I guess. So then hopefully next year we can expand to do more. That's my plan.
I'm actually really excited also about the location for the purpose of not having to cross Highway 38 with my kids on foot. So I think this will be good. I'm excited about it.
Thank you. And
thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For this first one, we will have a food truck as well, so families can come and have some dinner, shop around. So I look forward to it growing and expanding, but we got to start small somewhere.
Is Thursday night a night you're typically open later, Ricky?
No, but I will be.
Is that
That was gonna be my next
Good call.
question.
Well, yeah, in the community I grew up, Thursday night was like the night they stayed open until 9 o'clock. For those very specific purposes, you get your stuff on Thursday evenings, and if you're leaving town, you had that opportunity to hit those businesses. So is that like gonna be a community wide thing you've seen, or we're just gonna focus it on the downtown for now?
Well, ideally, yes. I would love for it to grow to the community at large. The other reason for choosing Thursday was because, the optimal time would be a Saturday, but I don't want to compete with Saturday might be in Sioux Falls, there's no competition, people just, they plan their weeks around that.
Yep.
And so I'd rather get in before then, when the vendors still have we're sharing some of the vendors that go there will come here as well, and so I want them to still have stuff before they go do their, clean out on Saturdays, so that was the other idea there, but yeah, absolutely, I would love to see it grow to more of a community engaged activity.
If I can just piggyback on that a little bit, there's another community that did something like this, not with farmers market, but with the community, and I call it kind of like a community market,
Yep.
where your different organizations in town actually come and they can have fundraisers. So like if they want to dump the principal or superintendent here, for a glass, and let's say it's the football team that wants to do that, then they can make some money doing that.
Sure.
And so it was very successful in another community, and they have several of the organizations that are doing that on a weekly basis for 4 weeks straight. Another one is a tractor pull. So the kids do the tractor pull, and the kids that did the tractor pull actually went to the state competition then. So hopefully we can get those events in conjunction with the farmers market to just bring more people downtown and, to have a more of a community feel to it. So that's what I'm thinking about, so.
Perfect, thank you.
Alright. And just think that in the last 12 months, we have 2 businesses that are here active. This is why Economic Development is so important, because you engage people, then they do really cool stuff that makes people happy and brings money into the town, so thank you.
Very true. That all happens pretty quick. Good. All right. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the city engineer report.
Yep. We got a few action items that we're going to get to, but I wanted to point out a couple items just with the weather that we've been having. I'm sure all of you noticed in Vandermark Avenue, we're having a tough time getting people in and out of there. That road's just, to begin with, it was not holding up really all that great. So we've been having some phone calls that we've been talking to people along there and trying to just advise them to park away as much as they can. But it's been a bit of a struggle there, I guess, getting people in and out of that road. On Vandermark Avenue, Craig and I have been talking about looking at pricing to possibly, because 9th Street is so poor going to the east there, about maybe just excavating that whole thing and getting a decent base in there and gravel back in there. Again, how rough it was and how soft it was this spring before the job even started, they're gonna have a hard time just even putting that back. So we are looking at pricing to maybe do some more work there. So maybe at the next meeting, we're gonna bring that to you folks to have that conversation. With the Swenson Park Sports Complex, kind of more of the same up there. They're trying to seed that, but it's just been too wet for them to get in there. Every time they think they can, it just rains on them, so they can't get in there until it dries up, so they don't tear it up and rut it up real bad. With the weather we've been having, we've been considering maybe adding some erosion control blanket out there just to help with some of the scouring that's happening. And just with all the rain we've gotten some deep carb areas, I guess, that have scoured. We'll go back and fix those up and dress them up. But if it keeps raining, I'm a little afraid it's just gonna scour it right back out of there. So we might be adding some of that to that area as well. Other than that, we've got 3 action items on here, and first one is to do with Nicholson Road. We have a change order number 2 there, and this is what we've talked about in the past meetings about an extension on their current contract due to the flooding that we had this spring. You can see their correspondence there attached to it. SoCup's documented the reasons for their request. They've noted 3 items. We also had a delay in that Clomar permit from FEMA. So that was about a month delay there that actually delayed them. So we've reviewed their request. We feel it's appropriate that we grant them an extension. They request an extension until August 15th. So that's the work of the box culvert and all the remaining street work that's out there. That's that portion of the contract. Questions?
And they're okay with, this is their ask, so to speak,
Yep.
they're okay with that?
Yeah, they, you know, when they make a request like this, they've got a request, they know that they can't come back and ask for more days for the same event, so, yes.
And same question as previous, Sam Hanson will be notified or already has been notified?
Already has been notified,
Okay.
Teresa's been communicating with him, so he's well aware.
You know, it's about the extra month and a half, he doesn't have a problem with it, and we've talked to him. His biggest thing is, or our biggest thing is, we want him to extend the letter of credit to that date,
Right.
and he says he'll contact his bank and
Okay.
do that.
Because there hasn't been much movement on his stuff, has there? I mean.
They graded out there, I think they had their utility contractor come out there to look, and he just hasn't been able to see it because it's too wet.
Yeah.
Jeez, crazy.
Make a motion for change order 2. Extend the deadline.
Second.
Alright, got a motion and a second, discussion?
August, right?
August 15th.
August 15th.
Okay.
Hearing none? We'll vote, Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Okay.
We also have a pay application is the next action item. This is pay application number 10 for Mickelson Road. This is in the amount of $458,883. This is for largely the portion of the box culverts and the end sections that they're constructing right now that they have completed this time.
They're pouring those end sections, right?
Yeah, they just poured the walls of them just the other day.
Yeah. It looked like the frame was, or the forms were still.
Poured today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still there, yeah.
Make a motion to approve pay application number 10 for $458,883.
Second.
Discussion. None, we'll vote. Brennan?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Keel.
Yes.
Okay, and the third item is, we were asked to put a proposal together for we're calling it the North Ironwood Estates, the drainage back there. To put together plans, negotiate, easements or obtain property back there on the city's behalf. And basically putting plans together for a drainage project through there. If you go back there, that area is really overgrown with reeds and cattails and volunteer trees. So this would be a contract to put plans together to have a contractor come in there, clean that out, excavate it, and making sure that the water can get through. Questions? Because I guess this contract involves us going through, doing a survey of the site. We have a wetland delineation that we have to do, that's in here as well. We have a sub-consultant helping us with that. And then from there, we'll be meeting with the property owners, because we don't have any easements back there, we don't have any property back there of any sort, so we'll be negotiating that with them as well.
That's all private property.
It's all private property right now,
My question concerning this project is that it is all private property. This contract for services is not to exceed $47,500. So if we take that bite of the apple, then I don't suspect you're gonna get 100% cooperation with everybody selling their property. So then you're looking at an easement. So then in essence, what we'd be doing would be maintaining private property with an easement, which I think is an incredibly ugly can of worms to open.
Well, as Lori will testify to, I mean, obviously, in, that same scenario, just north of here, we have now control of that land, is that correct?
Crestman Drainage, is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? Yeah, the drainage that we maintain now, we own the land, yeah.
Exactly.
Cressman's deeded the land to us, and we have another drainage area in Western Meadows, and
Where's that?
which is deeded to us, yeah.
So why
didn't-
are
but
we
we
not
didn't buy it.
entertaining doing
No,
this?
no,
No,
they just deeded it.
No, it was deeded, but why are we not entertaining that as an option? Because it would make it much more credible, I'm agreeing with Mark here, that we're coming in on private land, doing all the work, chunking the bill, and then giving it back to them, and, you know, I'm having an issue with
I
that.
think that would be our goal, is to approach them about obtaining the property.
Okay.
First, whether that's, you know, if they'd be willing to dedicate the property to see this project get done, I don't know. But I think that would be the first goal, is to own the property.
That's
So
exactly
why aren't we starting there then instead of starting with a $47,000 contract?
Exactly.
Well, I guess this contract's all inclusive, I guess, for design, and we could sure go to an hourly basis if you wanted, just in the
Why-
event that falls through.
Why don't we just send a letter to all the property owners and say, would you be interested in deeding your property for nothing?
Cause the first question they're gonna ask is, how much of my property? And until we get this established, we don't have an answer to that.
But I think you can tell them that whatever's in the wetlands.
Well, if it's a wetlands, and this gets even more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, that was gonna be our approach, is to do a survey first before contacting them, so we had some frame of what that would look like before we start contacting them. But there's no harm in sending a letter like that out at this stage to see.
And
Before we make a decision on this, we may move over into the agenda into the piece that Craig has got on there, and just discussion of some of these drainage ways as well, just to go over a philosophy, you know, what do we wanna do and how do we wanna handle it going forward. First, Tony, if you got comments on that.
Yeah. And I think I was here when this was first brought up, but were any of the landowners, I mean, was it brought to the council from the landowners saying, we have a drainage problem we want to fix?
Yes.
Yes. And are we draining anything other than their property?
Yes.
What are we draining?
You know, that storm sewer is gonna, they're putting a new storm sewer, is dumping right into that pond, if you will, that wetland right behind Matthias's.
And that outlets into this area.
And there's a culvert that drains the north part of the golf course north of 9th Street there. All that drains through that culvert as well through there.
Because I was a little bit with Councilman Monahan is, until, if we're just draining and we're fixing the drainage on private property, when they all come and sit down in the chairs here at the council meeting and say, we want to give you our land, fix our drainage, I don't think there's any sense to spending any money engineering wise to try to figure it out. Now, if we're dumping water into a drainage area, then I believe there's some legalities that say we need to make sure that the water can get through, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always would recommend that, you know, if you have a drainage way that's handling what I call public water, the water from a right of way or from a roadway or just, those are areas where I feel the city should try to maintain those areas as a service to the community. Now, if it's just some backyards butting up to each other and it's just handling their water, then I would try to stay clear of those as much as we can. That's generally what our philosophy always has been, I guess.
So we've got storm sewer new storm sewer that's gonna dump into the bond's gonna dump into here, that it's gonna come down through a culvert, come down into this area. Because we're putting that water into that drainage area, is there any risk of causing damage to those property owners by excessive water?
I would say no, I mean, not at this stage. The water that is being directed there through the storm sewer system, that water is always gone to this spot. It's just now it's being conveyed in a pipe, in a going flow. Might get there a little faster.
Just out of curiosity, because you know I'm not an engineer, Mitch, but, so, the North Landmark project, when Stockwell designed it, So you know you're taking that water that had an opportunity to soak in the ground, is on its way there. Now you're putting it underground in a pipe, and you're sending it to the same place, and you knew last year that that was a mess, because that's been a mess for years. So there was no other way to design it to relieve the pressure on that area instead of putting it in a pipe and sending it over there anyway?
No, I mean, again, the water's always gone there overland flow.
That's what I'm saying, well, why don't we take that water and move it somewhere else, and then we wouldn't be having this discussion?
Well, the water always needs to go to the low ground. I mean, there's really no other place to discharge that water but that low spot over there by the golf course. I mean, we could have maybe discharged it further west in that ditch that's there, but that ditch just doesn't drain real well either. So that's why we chose to take it to the golf course, because even after talking with the golf course people, they saw a big benefit to the area and trying to clean up some of their drainage as well too for the area.
Did they have to sign anything that said, hey, yeah, go ahead and discharge this into our pond?
Well, yeah, I mean, we got easements from the golf course.
Okay.
Well, we got their permission to do that.
So, but ultimately though, it's all being daylighted on private property that currently has cattails in it.
Yeah.
So the problem really lies in the original design of Ironwood and how the city planning and zoning and city council didn't see down the road far enough to realize that, hey, this drainage way is gonna fill in.
Yeah.
And eventually, we'll just make it somebody else's problem.
I mean, in today's, when you see a subdivision coming through a drainage channel like that, the city would normally be, there'd be an easement or something there.
There'd be required.
That, I mean, anymore, that's pretty typical.
Yes.
So would this require the number that comes to mind, being the 55% to acquire the land, or will it just be simply deeded over, right? I mean, if we, the signatures of the landowners, we wouldn't need 55%, it'd have to be a trust.
This isn't an assessment, so.
I mean, and we really have to have the cooperation of all the landowners.
Right.
If we can't get through one part, then this job becomes pretty difficult.
Let's say hypothetically, you get an excavator, and you clear everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we good to go for a few years, or, I mean, would this have to be something we would have to do, like, every once in a while?
These drainage ways, any drainage way is ongoing maintenance. It's part of your infrastructure, it's part of your drainage system. Even your ponds up in the Crestwood Edition and eventually in the Meadows Edition, they become part of your system and there's ongoing maintenance with them. I think, if you talk to Sioux Falls, they've got a lot of these types of channels where they do a dredging project probably every 7 to 10 years in there, just to clean out any silt that's built up in there and restore it to kind of what it was previously and making sure that the water can get through.
Craig, would you like to talk a little bit on drainage ways in general?
Well, my opinion, I guess, is it would be best in the city's interest to own these properties that we're gonna be taking care of maintaining. For example, we're gonna be doing some work up on Crestwood, and the only way we can get in right now is either wait till winter time and have somebody with an excavator come in there, but right now we've got water issues already, the water's just sitting in there. So we're gonna have to go in there by hand, weed whip the cattails down, drag them out of there, and try to get the drainage to move a little bit better, get the garbage out of there, volunteer trees and that stuff. So we can just kind of go in there and get that taken care of. With the easements like this, if we go in there and dredge this, one of my fears is we're going in and taking, even though we have an easement in there to keep it cleaned out, we're still going in there, we're reshaping the ground, and that one there, if we leave it a little rough, it's a little rough. Over here, what's gonna say that the homeowners ain't gonna want that nice slope going down, and even though it's a water channel. Same way, if you guys are okay with me spraying up in there, I've already talked to Department of Ag and everybody else, found out what we can use up in there and that stuff, which I'll bring up here after a little bit, but we wanna go in there and spray the cattails and kill them, we can. On private property, we might build it to it, might not be able to. And my idea is, if you're gonna have drainage areas, you need to keep them clean. Gotta get rid of the cattails, keep them opened up, let the stuff move through 'em. You don't get rid of the cattails, they're gonna be back within a year, and you're gonna have your leaves, your grass. Right now, even on this one here, you look behind their fences, that's where they throw their grass clippings. They just throw them out there, that way they don't have to haul them up anywhere, they just throw them behind their fences, they're out of sight, out of mind. Well, they're not all staying right there, they're getting into the drainage area too and stuff, so. So you got, I just think it's best to have more control over it than just an easement, especially something this major. It's just gonna be that much easier to keep it under control and keep it, you know. Even this one here, we're gonna have to get easements from the golf course, even just clean them out. So I just, they're gonna be high maintenance, you know, cactus grow fast, and they come in, when they get in there, they're thick, and they'll dam everything and anything they possibly can, so.
So did you say that the best and only time, no, that's in reference to Christmas, but you're not saying that the best and only time to do this is during the winter or fall, is that correct?
If we'd have a 3-year drought, that wouldn't be a bad time either.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well, you know, okay, so, there's nothing stopping us, just thinking that timeline, to send out a letter. Teresa, go ahead.
I was saying, Craig, also though, we don't really have the equipment to do the dredging.
That's right.
So a lot of the stuff we will have to hire out, and it'll probably be a pretty significant cost, so just keep that in mind as well, the more we take over.
So my fear is that number one, if we did do that, we're gonna tear somebody's yard up, we already know that. I mean, it's gonna happen, and then we're gonna have people sitting here, and again, we're gonna have an issue with that. So, as far as timeline goes, I see no reason why a request to deed the land over to all landowners should not be sent first. I can't see any other way of logically going about this. That's where I'm at.
And what you're getting at, Keel, is that they're gonna say, okay, but how much, you know, we're up to and all of that.
Yeah, that'd be, if it were my land, the city wanted me to deed over my land, I'd be, sure, how much? Not how much you gonna give me, but how far are you gonna go?
Yeah,
Would it make
and I know you
sense-
need that.
Would it make sense to approach the homeowners and find out, because if they're not in agreement with it, they're not gonna give up 5 foot, they're not gonna give up 20 foot, they're gonna say, no, I don't wanna give up anything. So if you got that situation, then you're back to the drawing board of what you wanna do.
Well, then it's their problem.
Yeah, but then you might get the homeowner that says, you know what, I'm willing to accept it, I wanna see what we're gonna have to give up for footages.
How many homeowners are we working with here?
6,
Pull-ups?
7, no, because we got
You'd have to do the
Espinosa,
north side.
yeah.
And there's probably some homeowners that are like more than the others.
And we have to
9,
get
10,
it.
12,
That's
you'd
the
have to go
old
in
one,
there.
large
Yeah,
portion.
because that's right down the center of it all, so you'd have
Oh, yeah.
properties that are out of city limits too.
So,
Well,
I think we need to dip our toes in the water first.
Chicken egg kind of thing, really.
go talk to them.
I think so. I mean, they came here and asked us, but
Yep.
I don't see how we can buy it.
I agree, I think we go through this one,
This one
and
here,
let's talk to
this
them
one
all,
here would have some.
find out if they're on board. Not, you know,
But these
we're not talking
ones-
Those
specifics,
ones up there,
just-
no, so just be basic, or just the one actually. Just
Then
the
we're
one.
able to take another look at this pay application after that, or this, this after that.
If we buy this easement, then Gloria's probably gonna ask for money for her.
Right.
You read my mind.
I think that one's already done.
Darn, we should've waited on that.
Ah, wonder she's been hanging
Gee,
out.
she just sticks around back there. Son of a gun.
And bring
I'm
popcorn.
learning.
There you are.
So, you know, if we talk this thing through for a minute, I'm just gonna not take any action on this proposal, but it's talked about this time. City's gonna move forward with, you know, just having some discussions about deeding the land over. Those residents aren't gonna see a change, really, until something takes place where it gets cleaned out. And then after that, it kind of becomes a boulevard, where they can maintain it if they choose, they can mow it down, right? Is that fair to say? I'm just trying to think of what.
We wouldn't allow anything built on it.
Correct, right. But, if I wanted to, if it were, again, it was my property, and I used to mow out to there, and once it's cleaned out and shaped and it's kinda grown back in, they choose to start mowing it, that, there's no issue with that. But again, you can't build anything in it.
We let the ones up on the river up there, cause we don't maintain that side of Turtle Creek there, the new tributary, but if they wanna mow it up and keep it cleaned up.
They mow it, yeah, they mow right down to the creek, as far as they can get her to, till they get her stuck. Then they get their four-wheeler out and pull it from
Okay.
it.
Any more direction on that? Okay, thank you. That's good. All right, moving on to your report, Craig.
I have nothing really to add, like Nate said, we'll be getting scoreboards, the I-beams, everything will be ready at the end of the month. Get lined up with Sioux Valley and Travis, getting the wiring stuff out there. Gonna try to get, hopefully we can get them set the first week in June so they can be ready to go for their tournament. And then backstops, they are actually scheduled for this week. I'm gonna try to put them off until Tuesday if it works out, just the way the weather's been. If not, we're just gonna, we know we're gonna, in order to get some of these projects done, we're gonna put some ruts out there, but we're gonna have to start moving ahead sometime. I mean, Mother Nature's just not agreeing with us at all here, but. So we'll be trying to get everything wrapped up before the tournament with the backstops and the scoreboards and all that stuff, and have that ready to go. And then just back to the drainage thing. Like I said, I did look into spray. I talked to the Department of Ag, stuff like that, and talked to the elevator about getting a chemical that we can use. I cannot think of it, it's aqua something. It's like a rodeo, which is basically a water roundup. I talked to them about making sure we're okay doing them in that type of waterways and that, and they didn't have an issue with it. I'd like to go into some of these here and spray some of the cattails. Not intentionally gonna try to kill the whole works off, try to leave some scenery for them, but at least get the centers out of cleaned out, so we try to keep that ahead, but it'll be an ongoing thing spraying throughout the summer and not trying to keep ahead of them. But I just wanted to make sure you guys are okay if we go in there and spray these. And, cause you might be getting some complaints, cause people might not have a cattail left if it's down in the waterway that we gotta get rid of, so.
So those folks that are dumping grass clippings in the drainage way, technically, isn't it right behind their fence is city property?
Nope.
Or there's a few feet
This on Ironwood up there?
there? No, I'm thinking,
Them, I haven't went back there and even looked to see what's, I
when
just
you
noticed.
mentioned over the fence, that's where I thought of right away,
Oh.
so.
Yeah, the ones I've been noticing are the ones on, so they're dumping it on their own property, right now, over there, I don't know, I haven't.
It's down there.
What's
It's
it?
down, they did it all up, I mean, the last 2 years I've been mowing down there, it's down there.
Yeah, down here, over there, okay. Yeah, so if they're dumping on city property, we'll have to let them know that that is our property and we don't want that.
Right, we don't fill in that drainage way with
Yep.
grass clipping. Okay.
So if we notice anything back in there, we'll just make sure we contact the homeowners and let them know that it's ours.
Kind of speaks to a comment you made at our last meeting about closing the second. I think it was after the meeting, maybe it was during. And listening to those folks in the farmer's market, and I was thinking about that. And my question to you is there removable bollards that could be put on that street on Second?
First Street.
First Street.
Yep.
First Street from the alleys, let's say, to Main, then be seasonal. Or.
Yeah, if we did something like that, I'd look into those water ones that you fill with water.
Mhm.
Or you just set them out there, you fill them with water, and then at the end of the year, pull the drains out of them.
Okay.
Something you can move around, yeah.
Just thinking about traffic flow and pedestrian flow and safety. Okay.
Cause you'd wanna be able to, like for Jamboree days, you'd wanna take out the ones along there, so you don't want something you can easily move around without, which, like I said, the water, the ones you fill with water. I haven't priced them, I can certainly get some numbers for them to see what it's like, and.
Barricade, that would be seasonal. So, down here.
Yeah, you guys need to go to Mitchell and look alongside the south side of the Corn Palace there, and open that up into that green area. You take that street out of there, it really turned out nice.
Yep.
So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I got one more quick thing. Give me 10-second answer. Last line, almost the last line of your report, 2 homes that were taken over by from rural water on Vandermark.
Yeah.
Trying to visualize which ones those were.
The first ones, well, it'll be the furthest one south, the 2 houses on the west side of the road there. They're
Okay.
both on rural water.
Okay.
So when we did this project, it was cheaper for us to buy them out than it was to pay rural water to relocate their water line.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we bought them out. They've always been on city sewer, just that they pay their water bill to rural water,
Really?
pay us the sewer.
I did not realize that. All right, thank you.
They'll be switched over, last one's already done, the other one's Thursday, so they'll be on our system.
Can you bring us some pricing options for our next meeting?
Yep, I'll write that down, get some numbers for you.
Looks good. Thank you, Craig.
Yep, thanks.
Alright. Karen, do you some high points to cover in your report?
I have nothing to add, unless someone has questions.
So charge to Meyer Electric. The payment to Meyer Electric, is that for like,
Streetlights on Highway 38, that was part, Sioux Valley doesn't want anything to do with them. Since the DOT put them up, it's our responsibility to take care of them. And if you notice in there was some fuses from, I can't remember where at. We did get some fuses in there and we're gonna try to maintain that part of it ourselves, so we'll be doing some of our own electrical on them. But if it's something that needs to be boom truck, whatever, we'll have to, or anything major, we'll have to get a hold of them.
those have never been right, have they?
No.
That's what I think.
Anything else?
Is that a year's worth of mosquito chemical?
I don't think we'll be close.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yep, and as if we take in anything up in Aspen's this year and get up there, we'll be running short for sure. So,
I was just curious.
Yep.
We might have some water sitting around.
Yeah. They'll be bad this year.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll move to Teresa's report. City administrator report.
Don't have too much to update you besides what's in my report. We do have all our summer help hired. Luckily, the last couple of weeks, we had about 4 lifeguard apps come in, so I think we're okay on our lifeguard apps. We have, I think, 9 with 4 of them that can also work as assistant lifeguards, so I think we'll be okay through the summer with that. One thing that I didn't have in my report that I want to update you, I found out Tyrone Albers is going to be coming back to the city as cop. You know, he was moved to the school as a resource officer because the resource officer there had some health issues. Well, she is back and he has seniority as to where he wants to go. He wants to come back to be our daytime cop. So he'll be back June 1st, but he retires July 15th. So we already got him back for a month and a half. And then at which point Phil will be back, Officer Ryan, so.
He wants to be in the Hartford Hall of Fame, so he's retiring.
Yeah, so, it's kind of goofy, but.
Wow, it's funny.
Like Jared Allen saw that.
Yeah, it's 1-day contract, Ryan Robinson.
That's about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Supposed to retire.
Yeah,
He's in trouble.
Interesting.
Well, Tyrone's back here, like that Deputy Ryan, he'll go back out to patrol and then he'll come back in July when Tyrone retires.
Old enough to retire.
Just let you know that, otherwise, no real other updates.
Okay.
Jury duty.
Alright, we're
yeah.
gonna go to old business, review the proposal on speed limits and stop signs within the city. Really nicely laid out, by the way, thanks for covering that last meeting, and, thanks for the visuals and descriptions in there. I know I spent a lot of time just checking them out, as I was driving around.
I know the 15's gonna seem a little slow down Second Street, cause I drove down it tonight thinking,
That's gonna be slow, that would be slow, yeah.
so that's something to consider doing that.
Down Second?
15's, yeah. That wasn't,
Oh, yeah, that was mine.
that wasn't my,
Could we make it 5 miles an hour by Gail Olson Duck's house?
you know, around the park area there, we gotta stay consistent, so we will need to put some 15's up through that Second Street.
With the provision of still in neutral.
So it does shorten up the rest of the thing at 20, so, you know, it's something.
Yeah. You sitting out there with a gun.
Okay, do we have any motion or discussion on specific, I would imagine what we wanna do is have this be something where, hey, we're gonna approve this with this change, or with that change, or anything like that, so.
Mr. Mayor, can I stop you for a minute?
Yep.
All I can hear is you two. Thanks.
Alright, we'll move on. So anything in here that you're thinking of that you want pulled out, I guess? Any council members got anything in the street sign revision or proposal that you definitely want pulled out or changed?
Would it make sense to put this in the paper?
Oh, no.
Ooh. Wow, do you really wanna go there with
Well,
that?
I'm just asking the question.
It'll be a
I know,
specific meeting and just be ready. I mean,
oh yeah,
it'll be a,
I'm just asking the question, don't shoot the messenger, I'm just asking the question.
Where's, Craig, what is the blue, remove, and the purple is, I don't see the color code.
I think purple is add, Mark,
So
and
the-
blue is remove.
The long purple ones are the speed limits, the other purples are for adding, or basically switching them, so there's 3 stop signs that we basically are either moving to another location or adding.
Yeah.
The rest of them are all, the blue ones are all removing. They didn't do a color code with this map, like I did with the other one.
So number 8, Craig,
Yeah.
that's on the south side of the school, right?
Yeah, that's it, first and
Stephanie making that a 4-way stop.
That would be a 4-way stop, yeah, and that's where you got those valley gutters in there,
On
so.
on the southwest side of the school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Let's do it one by one, but you don't do it now.
I would like to see it that way.
You wanna do one by one?
Let's discuss it and move on. Each item.
and these, like I said, are just,
Okay, let's start with number 1 then. Change speed limit on Railroad Street from 30 to 20.
Move to approve.
second,
Discussion?
So the rest of that road all the way down to, Fighter is already 20, correct?
yep, 20 except for during, school hours where it's 15.
Okay.
On railroad?
You talking railroad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, this is
railroad. Yep.
Railroad.
I'd prefer to see it at 25.
But we need to have some sort of,
Do we have anything at 25 right now?
No.
I agree, 20's hard for me to drive 20, but I don't know, that's more of a me.
Well, and I don't wanna say we have to be like everybody else, but I was in Birmingham last week and I just noticed that all the residential roads I seen were 25.
We're 25.
That's kind of a state, code or standard. If they're not posted, they're typically at 25 in residentials or in towns. Hartford a long time ago decided to have everything 20, so.
Right. So we're going with that, I think 25 is acceptable, and then it's gonna carry down to Second Street if they're gonna go 15. I'm gonna argue against that too.
Like I said, these are all just things we're
Yeah.
pointing out some issues out to address, so you guys can make you guys are making the final decisions on these, so.
So could we do it such that we, let's say we get majority on this one, for instance? And then back to your point, Arden, publish it. These are the changes that we propose. So we don't get every, 27
Right.
different opinions down.
Yep.
We've already got 7,
Right.
Right, well, are you saying changes we're proposing or changes we're implementing?
We posted in a meeting, in our agenda, that these are the changes we're implementing. And then at that time, give the public a chance to give their input. Or do we just, whatever we decided tonight?
Does this have to be an ordinance change, or how does this change? Or if we just vote tonight to change it, is it done?
The stop signs are not in ordinance, so that can just be a change. We're adding, removing, whatever you wanna do with the stop signs. The speed limits are set in ordinance, so that would be an ordinance change.
Okay, so if we change any speed limits,
This-
we're gonna have to
We'll
post
change
that.
them in, yep, it'll be then on agenda as an ordinance.
Okay.
The speed limits are an ordinance, but the stop signs, council can
And
just do it.
are they one blanket ordinance for all streets, or is it individually, or?
So our ordinance is basically, it's kind of A, B, C, D, like Craig was saying, It says residential are 20 miles an hour unless otherwise posted. Then it says it's 30 miles an hour on Railroad Street, 1,000 feet east to Vandermark, and then 30 miles per hour on Vandermark, 350 feet north from Partee. And I mean, so we'd have to revise all of that if we're gonna change some stretch of road. So the speed limits take an ordinance change, which would have a first and a second reading for the public. Like the stop signs though are not an ordinance at all, it's just what the council deems necessary.
So since there was like a first and a second for number one, and then we all vote, then we would know the majority for this decision.
And then change the ordinance, and that would come before you at the next meeting.
Yep. All right, more discussion on number one. We'll vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brennan? No. Jones?
Yes.
And Montana.
Yeah.
Number two, post 15-mile-an-hour speed limit on Second Street, Highway 38, Galloway, West Pine Avenue. Currently, the speed limit is 20, except during school hours.
So it's that whole street currently is 20, and he wants it, they want it to be 15 all the time.
So by the park area should be, since we have it by our city park, it's supposed to be 15, so that little chunk in there should be 15 anyway, and then the downtown area. Phil just thought it'd be more consistent if we keep it the same speed all the way. I mean, during school hours, you only got like a block that's not, you know, I'd kind of, this one, like I said, I drove down tonight in 50.
It's hard to do, yeah.
Sure, things like council meeting.
That was early, that's okay.
And there is there's, you know, my thing on this too is there's a four-way stop on Main. You come out of the downtown district and you head toward the school district, like you're not, it's not a straight path.
You got a massive valley gutter you gotta slow down for.
Right, right.
Two of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. Right.
Still, it's our only road really east-west that connects west of the 38 in town, in the middle of town.
I move to keep it as posted currently.
Second.
Motion and second, keep it as is. Discussion? Okay, Tony?
Well, you guys got that figured out, but the one thing I was gonna toss along with is if you were going the other way, is gonna put a four-way stop at First and Fader, put a four-way stop at Second and Fader, right by the school. If you're gonna put it on First Street, because of the school, think about a stop sign on Second Street and Fader.
Oh, that's on our list.
Opposite corner.
Yep.
Well, first is not second.
First is, but not second. The 15-mile-an-hour speed limit past the school. Right. And that's a corner that's always congested. Anytime I go by there, mornings or evenings, and the kids are getting picked up and let off, that corner's actually been more congested than the first corner, so just tossing that idea out there.
Yeah, sure.
All right, on number two, motion and second.
Could I have you read it back here?
Motion by Travis, second by Brenneman, to leave as is.
Which is just one block of 15 and the remaining 20, right?
Basically, to make no changes.
We're making no changes to the ordinance.
Yep.
Well, it's 15 by the school during school hours, and it's
Yeah.
15 by the park all the time.
Okay.
We can't just approve the ones that want to change.
Don't really need a motion to leave it alone, though.
Right, exactly. Cause then it's just,
Just
it's
no
gonna be
action
very
taken.
hard to write in minutes to,
Oh, good point, Karen.
so why don't we just
Should I
make a
rescind my
motion on
motion?
the ones you wanna change?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll make it easy, I'll make a substitute motion
Haven't been done in a while.
that we change, that we accept proposal number 2.
You're gonna make it, yep, to propose it, number two.
Yep.
Okay.
Change it.
To change.
To accept as
Yeah.
proposed.
Accept as proposed. Okay.
4-2 motion.
I'll second it for discussion.
Yep, there you go.
So you're saying that, you want us to vote on that, so if we don't want it to change, then we vote it down?
I'm saying the original motion was to do nothing, and you don't need a motion and a second and a vote to do nothing, you just don't do anything.
Right.
So I made a substitute motion
To
to
do
actually
something.
do something, so then if it's voted down,
Then it's going
the
to
original
perfect.
should die.
Yep.
And nothing should happen in the future.
Okay, I'm just going for clarification. Okay, don't cheat, measure.
All right, any more discussion? All right, we'll vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
I'm confused.
Right now, you're voting to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a yes is a vote to change it.
Yes. You're voting to
So
change
right now,
it.
right now, there's three of you that are voting to change it.
I heard the break.
Good thing you stopped.
You might wanna let them make or break
You
the
guys are
tie.
laughing,
Read it.
You stopped quick enough, you can still fix it.
Yeah, because you could still vote against, or vote against it,
Yeah,
and
usually
make or
vote
break it.
against it, and then we can break with that.
Oh my God.
I know what you're doing. I was with you.
I'll tell you what, the ball moves fast.
It does
The
move
ball
fast.
moves fast, you gotta keep your eye on it.
I'm a no regardless.
I'm a no.
Well, I'm a yes.
Change it.
This one comes for first and second reading. Remember that? It's a speed limit change, so you get to play with this one once more.
So wait a minute. So what's the vote count?
4-2.
4-2, in favor of the substitute motion.
Which is.
Which is to change it.
To change it, yeah.
It worked out well for you.
Well, you can bring up a motion now on the, never mind.
Let's just go with first reading and don't bring it up.
Number 3 is to add a stop sign on Met and Main
Yes,
Avenue
it's a-
by the city shop. Safety issue.
I'll make a motion to approve change 3.
Second.
Discussion?
The only thing I would agree, should there be a stop sign coming out of the elevator headed west too?
That'd be private, so we could talk to them if they'd wanna put one in there.
We don't have any easement there to put a stop sign. There's
But it's
zero.
private driveway, so we
Oh.
can't make them stop their traffic.
All right. We'll vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman? Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Nelson?
Yes.
I'm still laughing at number 2, that's
This went with Nelson. That was my first mistake.
All right, number 4, remove the stop signs on Mickelson Road by Fader.
Move to approve item number 4.
The motion?
I'm waiting for Martin Ottman. Chime in, Arden. That's your street, man.
I'll second.
10 seconds.
Now we can discuss?
Yes.
I've really had to change of mind on this one.
And
I
you
really, yeah. I've really had to change of mind on this one. I almost think we should leave them. I think we need one stop sign along that road somewhere.
It's your guys, like I said, I'm just pointing out some areas that we wanted to address.
I get it, what Tyrone, I get it, what,
And that, you know, it should be a through road, but like I said, if you
Yeah.
think we need to stop, and that's your guys' calls.
and maybe my bigger concern is not the stop signs on Fider. My bigger concern is nobody stopping on the roads pulling onto Mickelson.
Yeah,
That's my, and I know that we're not talking about those stop signs, but that's my bigger concern.
Yeah, but you got how many other roads that connect Mickelson now and there hasn't been an issue?
I know it, but I just, maybe I'm.
I know what you're.
I know. We haven't had anybody get run into. That's my fear, that, cause I see a lot of people run that stop sign at Fider.
Mhm.
And when they're not stopping from the other way, And we discussed, Greg, that you're gonna put flags or something on
There'll
those,
be signage and stuff like that.
something,
Yeah.
through traffic doesn't stop or something like that.
You'll notice when people come up to stop signs, when they take off, if they're trying to hurry up, they'll actually speed more.
Going
Trying
to,
to
oh,
make
I
it
agree, 100% agree. That's my only comment on it.
Could this be one of those situations where we take the stop signs down and then we invest in a couple of those speed indication?
They were pretty spendy.
Were they?
Let's look at them. Not yet, unless the other side of the road got developed.
People
We
get
just
used
heard
to them
about a
and
job
ignore
over there
them.
to do
People
that.
get used to them and ignore them anyway, the flashing signs.
Then we thought,
I think one of the
Speed
things though
signs.
is, I mean, I don't wanna beat this one too long, but it also, with enforcement, people stop at stop signs, with enforcement, people slow down.
Right, I agree. That's all I wanna say.
motion to approve removal of stop signs on Nicholson.
Or you
Drive.
already had a motion, sorry.
We did?
Yeah.
You asked to second it.
Oh, I'll be darned. Let's move on.
Yep.
Read it back so I got it right.
Motion by Keel, second by Brannaman to approve the removal of stop sign on Nicholson Road by fire.
Stop signs.
Signs, plural.
We're gonna vote. Nelson,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yeah.
Jones,
No.
Monahan.
No.
Okay.
Wild card, do a table day.
Right. Number 5, remove both stop signs in Oaks Avenue at the 5th Street intersections.
Those,
Oh, boy.
and those signs were put in, like I said, when we did the Main Street project, and they just got put in there to slow the traffic down as the traffic got bumped over to Oaks, so.
Which one?
Fifth and Oaks,
These two.
But they're offset.
yeah, and they're offset, and they're confusing when they're offset like that. It's the ones I'm trying to get rid of, some of those offset ones.
I'll make a motion to approve item 5.
Second.
Okay. I didn't hear that one either.
That's a motion to approve item 5.
Okay.
Yep, in a second.
I can remember when this was requested, and there were citizens in the seats requesting these to remain. I feel that they have done the job that, the citizens had requested. So I'm not in favor of that.
Isn't there a daycare right there?
At Fifth and, on the north side, the north stop sign, whatever it is, yeah.
With a fully fenced in yard.
Yep.
Alright, we'll vote. Monahan,
No.
Jones,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yeah.
Keel,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
and Nelson.
No.
Passes.
Splitting it up here. Second reading's gonna be fun.
Make a motion to approve item 6.
Second. I really wanted to make that motion.
Sorry, I just want to move on.
It's good, it's good.
Okay, so
All right,
that's your
discussion
turn.
on that.
You okay with that? right? You're okay with
Alright, I don't hear any. Keel,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Nelson,
that? Yes.
Monahan,
Yeah.
Jones,
Yes.
Brennan.
Yes.
Who was the second on that one?
Jessica.
And you all voted yes?
Yep.
Everyone voted yes. Do a motion on item 7.
So what are we doing here? We're taking one out and moving it one block?
Yeah, you take out the one on Fifth Street up by Mark's place there. Because right now they're the same thing, they're offset the stop signs, they're not at the main intersection. So you move it down to David Rowe down there where it'd actually be a 3-way stop.
By the
or
pool.
Be an all-way stop.
That's good.
So you'd still be stopping the traffic before they get into the park area. And then we just have to relocate that speed limit sign, but where that speed limit sign is actually about where that stop sign should be.
Removing the sign heading south.
It'd be going south, yes. Yep.
Motion to approve, item 7.
Motion to approve item 7.
Second.
If this passes, Craig, can I just get my stop sign replaced with a sign that says stop ahead? Do we have one of those?
I could move the 15 back there.
If I'm accustomed to seeing something on that sign, cause whatever it is, I want it to be ignored like it has been.
Piece of plywood spray painted on, will that work for you?
So, something.
Okay.
Monahan for mayor.
Alright, we got a motion and a second. Yeah. Brenneman.
Yeah.
Jones.
Yes.
Monahan.
Yeah.
Keel.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
And Nelson.
Yes.
Okay.
Move to approve item
Second.
Discussion? None? Keel?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Jones?
Yeah.
And Brenneman.
Yes.
Now,
I move to add 2 items to this.
Okay.
Number 9, remove stop signs at Vandemark at night.
okay, is that your motion?
Well,
You're gonna make a motion for both?
yep.
Okay.
And I move to remove the stop signs at Vandemark at night, at Partee, I'm sorry. So night, so basically Vandemark becomes a through street without stop signs on it from 38 to the city limits. Heading north and south. East-west traffic on night stops, east-west traffic at Partee and coming out of Naps stops.
So there's a stop sign right now on 9,
It's a four-way, it's an all-way stop right now.
So right here
Yep.
and right here.
and then at your place, there's one. Just
It's currently a 3-way
So
stop.
this one here, this one here.
Yeah, currently three.
Currently a 3-way.
Intersection.
There was another
Currently
one.
there's a hole in the ground.
And there's gonna be another,
Previously it was a 3-way.
Travis, there's gonna be another intersection
I don't know.
going that way, so it would be a 4-way.
Correct, it would be a 4-way in the future, and I don't see the point.
So you want the traffic on Vandemark to free flow? Gotcha.
Correct.
Free flow from 38 to city limits. Going-
Teresa, can we even take action on this tonight? Cause the agenda says unproposed and those weren't proposed. If somebody wanted to be a
Good
stickler.
question.
That's true, we probably put it to the next, agenda.
So add those to the next.
Okay.
Cause these won't, none of these are gonna get changed like tomorrow. The only one we
Right.
probably possibly do would be add the one down by the shop there, cause we just gotta put that up and flag it. The rest of them, I'm gonna have to get signs made up that say cross traffic does not stop and stuff like that.
Mitch, do you have any concerns?
Alright, we got a motion and a second on there. You rescind your motion? And ask
Yeah,
that.
because we need to move it to the.
Well, I didn't make, it wasn't an official move, it wasn't an official motion. I was just, like, hypothetically, I was moving to do it.
You were actually saying put it on the
We didn't
next
even have a
agenda.
second,
Yeah.
so.
It died with lack of second.
Okay, there was a second.
Well, there was a second.
So it was?
Aye, Brian?
Yep.
It was.
Oh, who's second?
Yep.
So, yeah. I rescind my motion.
Okay.
First, second, make up one, and rescind the
You gotta
motion.
go back and watch the video of
So
it.
it's you rescind that?
Yeah, you rescinded it. How's that? That what you were after?
Travis rescinded his
Alright,
motion.
we're gonna go to new business. Review the proposal for compensation planning. Teresa's got some of this laid out in here. She worked and found a consultant that would help us with basically some compensation planning, some pay scale, and also job descriptions. I know Teresa, when you brought this up to me, I reviewed it for a little bit there too. I believe in the discussions we have every year when it comes to pay scales and job descriptions. I feel like it's $1,000 well spent to get a consultant point of view on our positions that we have within the city, how they compare to other cities, and the private workforce.
Did you approach them, or did they approach you?
They actually called me, saying that, they're reaching out to other municipalities as well. Kind of give a list of their services, and they do a wide range of things, but, reviewing the job descriptions and giving us a pay scale for our positions that we already have is what caught my eye. Like Jeremy says, we kind of struggle with this every year at evaluation time, and what other cities do, is that a normal pay? Besides kind of some of our newer positions, like Jesse's or Nate, you know, mine, Craig, I mean, we had the same job descriptions ever since I've been here, you know. Do they probably need looking at and update? I think they all probably need to be looked at to ensure that the job description is reflecting what the actual job duties are, you know, and what the council wants, you know. So look at that, and then, like I said, be able to compare that with other municipalities and the private sector. They say they look at that as far as, okay, this job, these duties, not so much person, but this job is this, you know, pay range, you know. It gives you guys a better idea of going in, you know, when you're doing evaluations or review time to what is that job worth, you know.
2 questions. Did Patricia, I know her, was she the one that contacted you? And secondly, what?
I just asked her that.
You did?
I literally just did.
No, you said, was she contacted by someone from the company?
Did they reach out to you, is what I think?
Yeah, I know you did, but
Oh, you
Patricia.
mean specifically Patricia?
The name on the sheet.
You're gonna put her on the,
I'm asking you, Patricia.
You're gonna put her on the carpet.
Alright,
No,
let's go.
I wanna know the answer to that question.
Actually, it was Mary,
It is there.
actually, it was Mary Jo Vance that reached out to me. She was working for them. She no longer does it this time. It was Patricia that came and met with me, though.
Thank you, okay? And now I've got the second question. Doggone it, you guys.
I have a question.
Go.
How long of a process is it for her to do her consultation?
It sounded like only 2 or 3 days to come in, and she'll kind of meet with everybody, see
That's
what
how
they
we'll
do,
know.
get our information, take it back to their office. I'm assuming probably be a couple of weeks. I guess she didn't really say how long it would take to give us that information.
And then would this be like a yearly evaluation? Because when it comes to like, you know, pay and people's incomes, you know, that could vary each year. Maybe your title won't change every year. And when in the year would you do
This
it?
is just for a one-time service is what the
Okay.
$1,000 will get us. So whether we want to do that every year review or every 2 years, 5 years, I mean, that will be up to the council. But this is for a one-time coming in, and she'll look at not just our full-time, basically I asked her to do our full-time and year-round. So she'll look at the code enforcement, the building inspector as well. Nate's, you know, right now just part-time, but everybody that works year-round, except for our summer help, you know, our true part-timers.
I have a question, Teresa. Do you think we struggle with wages and job descriptions?
I struggle. I think so. I mean, I think any employer does. I mean, it's always a question when it comes to at evaluation time to look, is this what the pay scale, the market is paying out, or is it not? I think it's a good peace of mind. Is that what the market's paying for a position like this, whatever that position might be?
I assume with the wage scale, if we're overpaying, nobody'd want a reduction.
I think you're
But if we're underpaying, I think that would be used as a tool to get more pay.
Well, and like I said, the pay scale is going to give you a range too. I mean, it isn't going to say this is the
Yeah,
dollar
but
amount for that
I mean,
position.
you already, every year evaluation since I've had anything to do with the city council, the city administrator has always provided a pay scale from surrounding communities, big and small. And I don't know what this individual would do other than that.
Well, I think there's quite a bit different though. I mean,
On the
it's
pay scale?
comparing it to private sector that do similar jobs, it's,
Where I struggle with, it's very easy to get other city administrators paid, public works superintendents, finance officers, because most cities have those positions. Economic development director, not many of the towns, and when I give you, our comparison at the end of the year for us, I compare it with similar sized cities, because I don't think we should be comparable with Sioux
Yeah.
Falls or Rapid City. no size population city has a full-time economic development director like we do. So I don't have it, there's no comparable for Jesse. So take into account what he does, and there are other similar jobs in the private sector that we should look at. So that's where we could kind of get comparables for him. Same thing with the building inspector, you know, we're part-time. There are some that have full-time, there's some that contracted out, but you know, what do, you know, similar sized cities that have a part-time building inspector like we do, with the amount of hours we do, what's the normal going rate of pay for that? So kind of like some of those positions, kind of what I'm more concerned about.
Is there a cap, or is it just hourly? What they're, I didn't see, all I seen was hourly, is that right?
She's quoted, she's given it an approximate estimate of this costing taking 10 hours with $100 an hour. So it is an estimate at $1,000, but it will be whatever hours they put in. That's the estimate.
They kind of buried in there, it's the senior HR advisor, is the one doing it, and
Yeah,
$100
she said-
an hour,
Yeah.
and they're a cap it at 10 hours. That's where the $1,000 it took me.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how do you keep throwing $1,000 out there, but they kind of buried in there. How much time do you think you spend, you know, weighing out the very topic that we're talking about? Going out and researching job descriptions.
Like at the end of the year when
comparable pays.
I mean, I haven't touched the job descriptions. Like I said, ours haven't been looked at.
So
forever.
from review time, though, we look to you for suggestions,
Right.
and usually have gone out and,
Yep.
you know, is that 3, 5, 10 hours or so?
A good 2 or 3 hours going on the salary survey, going on their website, seeing what they are paying, and, yeah, so.
I can remember the first economic development director position, the job description took 2 months to get it done. It was pretty back and forth.
Do we have a motion?
I thought we already had one. Did I screw that up already? I make a motion to approve the proposal for compensation planning.
Second?
Motion and second. Discussion? Alright, Brendan?
No.
Jones?
No.
Monahan?
I say yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
And Keel.
Yes.
Alright, motion carries. Alright, last item under new business is city council packet discussion.
This is mine.
Go for it. Go talk.
I was asked if there was a way that we could put the council packets on the website so citizens could review them. Since we've shortened our reports, if that's the right word, in our minutes, you know, we don't have you guys read your whole report. Is there anything in there? I mean, we can redact them however we want. I love that word. It's in the news a lot right now. So we could redact them however we want it.
But whose discretion would that be?
It could
For
be
certain
anybody's.
redactions?
See, and that's where I think it gets a little bit
Dicey.
different, and I wondered if it may not be a good method to go to, because I like it. I think that right now, there's, what do we got in the packet, 225 pages?
Right.
And what's the public get?
Leave it in the agenda.
Maybe an agenda, right? So we spend 2.5 hours going over 225 pages of information, but they're like, oh, I wonder what that graph looks like. Oh, I wonder what that thing looks
Right.
like. And I think we should have more information, but I think that there are some things in our reports that are probably between the city, between the city departments and the city council that we aren't taking action on. They're just in our reports, that's just for our information. And I wondered if there may be a good way to have them still do a report. We get it on a weekly basis, it's not an action item, or weekly or bi-weekly basis, maybe in line with the council meetings, we still get that, and we put it in our box, or get it in our email, whatever we wanna do. But that they have a bulleted report for the city packet with action items and high points in there, and things that need to be discussed. I'm just throwing that out there for discussion.
You should maybe look at Harrisburg. I think always does a good job with they have an agenda that goes online, and then all the bullets here end up having hyperlinks to them, so people can click on them and see maybe what comes with that agenda item. And it might just be a 2-page thing, might be my report, might be Craig's report. I always felt like they've done a pretty good job with their stuff. It's not a full packet necessarily, where they don't see all the bills and all that stuff.
Right, right.
And you could look at it as an example.
I'd even like that, because I don't even have access all the time to get to my computer, to get to the box, so to speak, you know, but if I could look at that agenda, click on it, and if there's something further I need to dig into, then.
I don't know that it should be put out prior to the meeting. Because a lot of this information that's in the packet is put together for city council and mayor. It's not put together for the general public. Everything we're talking about tonight is general public information right now and tomorrow. Because a lot of stuff in the packet, you don't know how the action's gonna be taken, or if any action's gonna be taken. So really, it's just information that's gathered for us. So, and I wouldn't be opposed to putting reports on, because I think the 4 or 5 reports or 6 reports we get, if those individuals know that the reports are gonna be put online, then I would like to think they would know what can and cannot be put. Really, I think the only one that would probably, Mitch would have to be careful, Teresa would have to be careful, you know, but Craig's and Karen's, Nate's.
So what do you mean by when? When you pull the trigger? When the meeting's done and Karen goes and activates it?
Yeah, I don't think anything that we're looking at tonight should have been available to the public Saturday, last Saturday. I think if we're gonna make anything public on the web, it would be public tomorrow morning.
I would wanna watch like some of my quotes that I get, because you don't wanna have those numbers out there.
Yeah, but see, I mean, you know that though.
Yeah, I'd have to put that on a separate.
Well, just don't hyperlink it. Just don't hyperlink it, it's a line item and
what the hell are you?
Karen would take it and she'd put a hyperlink to it and it would flip to that page.
So I wouldn't do it.
So Craig's not gonna do it.
It'd be Karen's problem.
Well, I want to speak up to it because I've been asking for this for going on 6 or 8 months. We've mentioned to numerous folks about, can we get this done? And it didn't happen. So I asked Mr. Councilman Jones to put it on the agenda so that it could be brought up at a meeting, spoken to in public, and discussed. I understand the confidentiality of certain items. Councilman Monahan, I take total offense to the fact that there's things that you're discussing here tonight that shouldn't be made available to the public till after the meeting. There's a lot of things discussed at this council meeting tonight that the general public should know what's going to be discussed and see the information that you're going to be discussing, so that they want to come here and sit in the seats for going on 2.5 hours and try to be quiet for 2.5 hours. They at least have the information to see what's being discussed up here. When you guys are going through all of the traffic stuff, you're voting on number 1. Sometimes you said what it was. 2 or 3 times, well, we're gonna vote on number 6. None of us out here knew what number 6 was. Because we don't have access to that information to see it ahead of time. If you're gonna be transparent to the public, you need to have the information out there. If you want their input at a meeting, you have to let them know what it is you're gonna talk about. And you have to let them see what the information is that you're gonna be discussing. If you don't, you're gonna have an empty room all the time because somebody looks at the agenda, they're really not sure what it is, or if they do come here, they don't have anything prepared to be able to tell you how they feel about that action, how they feel about what's going on. I did research, there's an awful lot of cities out there that all of this information is posted ahead of their meetings. They'd say Harrisburg does a really nice job of putting that information out there that the public would want to see. Brandon puts the entire package out there, and it's out before the meetings, or most of the time it's out there. I think they've had some administrative problems getting it posted up in time, but it's available out there. Anything that tomorrow morning, if I walk into Teresa and say, I want to see the packet from last night, that's public record, correct? Is everything in that packet public record? So everything that there's on their computer tonight, I can see tomorrow morning. So if I can walk in and see everything that's on your computer tonight, tomorrow morning, then everything that's on your computer tonight should be available on the website for them to see whether it's before the meeting tonight or after the meeting tonight, because that packet is available to me. So it doesn't make any difference what's in there.
The meeting makes it public record. The meeting makes it public record. And I'll tell you what, Tony, I take offense because you don't know how many nights I've sat here with nobody in the peanut gallery, or one or two people, and I'll tell you what, this agenda goes out, and it clearly says, review proposal from speed limits and stop signs within the city. So all somebody has to do is read that, and you can make one call and find out exactly what that proposal is.
Or I could make one click on a website to know exactly what that proposal is. Same thing.
But that's you. I don't know how much we need to invest to try to get people involved that, for the lion's share, don't get involved. We can do everything we can possibly do to spoon feed this information to the city, and they won't eat it. There hasn't been an election in this city for 3 years, or
3 years.
3 years. There hasn't been an election. So you tell me putting this packet online is gonna change the way this city consumes this information.
Not saying that, I'm not asking that it makes a change, I'm asking that it be available out there for someone who might want to actually see it.
And I would support that. I know where you're going with that, Mark, and I know what you're saying, but there's a difference, I think, between giving them the opportunity to see it. Many wouldn't know they have the opportunity to call City Hall and ask to view that proposal. They wouldn't know they could call City Hall and ask for a discussion on drainage ways. When I see Craig's report, that they're not gonna, but if we give them the opportunity to view everything that we've got out there, or at least the agenda, the items that we're gonna take action on.
I'm not.
I just think it's more transparent.
I'm not against transparency, but like I said, this meeting makes that public record. Without this meeting, that's not public record. That's just information gathered by city staff for us. That's all that is.
So once again, Mark, are you saying, the timeline here is a big issue for me. Are you okay with at least posting the city packets the next business day? Are you okay?
Yeah, that's fine, and put an agenda up with bullet points and hyperlinks, I don't care.
So, Mr. Monahan, back to your comment on, you see on the agenda, and you're gonna look at proposed drainage ways. So before the meeting, if I walk into City Hall and I say to Teresa, I wanna see the report, the proposal for drainage ways, she can give that to me. before the meeting?
Which one is proposed?
So, pick up.
I just wanna see how it's worded in the,
Discussion of drainage ways.
But your question, Tony, is, if it doesn't become public record until we discuss it at night, can somebody walk in and ask for it the day of the meeting and say, I wanna see the information on this?
And don't pick out a specific thing on tonight's.
But I'm
agenda.
just, anything.
Any agenda item, if there's any agenda item that I wanna know more information about it, and what's gonna be in the council packet, can I walk into Teresa the day before the council meeting and say, I'd like to see the information that the council has on this?
Yeah, because that goes to the question that you said. By our discussing it at the meeting, it then becomes public record. Is that true or is that not true? That's the question.
It is true, but if he would come in before the meeting, if anybody in public would come in and ask me about something on the agenda, I mean, unless there was confidential information in it, I'd give it to him. I mean,
So I think there's some.
whether that's a technicality of the public or not, I don't know, but I mean, like I said, if public asks for it, you want to give it to them.
I think there's some validity here. I'm just looking at Brookings' site right now. And on their agenda, they got item 9C, public hearing on action on temporary alcohol application from the Brookings Humane Society. And then I can click on it and they've got a memo basically for each item that appears to summarize what would be similar to what's in our package.
Has that meeting taken place yet, Mark?
No, it's a future.
Okay.
Well, this one, so this last week.
Harrisburg is pretty.
But it does give information, why they're doing something, or similar to what we're doing. So I think putting the information out there one way or the other is okay, it's just a matter of how you wanna do it.
I'm gonna chime in one more time, and that was about 2-3 years ago, and before that, I proposed to have a whiteboard up there, which would be connected to someone's computer over here, so the general public could sit and understand where item number 6 was on the stop sign. I can remember sitting here and going out to the seats, and showing somebody a map, okay, of what exactly we're talking about. That's why I proposed the whiteboard, so we could get it up here. Now, that's $4,000 to do that. Now, this is a less expensive way of doing it, but I think, like I say, the key thing is the timing here, so everybody's, copacetic with it. That's why I've been bringing it up. I mean, Mark, would you be happy with the day of the city council meeting?
I'm not opposed to putting the information out. I don't know,
I understand your
just
concern.
making the whole packet available.
With confidentiality stuff, obviously, in place, and I agree, I don't, bills, I mean, I have a question with that, because there's a lot of stuff there that I think, we can change it as we go along.
But if it's public record, why would we be redacting certain things?
Well, valid point. I mean, there's certain things, obviously executive session things is irrelevant, but, I don't know. I like the fact of the public knowing at least 24 hours beforehand that they know what to come. So if they need to look at, a certain thing, they got something tangible that they can click on and understand. Because I always felt it was unfair to those sitting in those chairs, because we're sitting here rattling away and looking at all this stuff, and they have no clue. And really don't have a voice that way. They have an option because they can't understand what it is that we're looking at, we're proposing. So at least an agenda, I think, would be totally appropriate. What's Harrisburg got that's over?
I'm looking at Harrisburg's right now, I just
I'm looking at Stockwell's report.
I did too.
Much nicer.
The pictures, yeah, there's pictures.
Wow.
It's nice.
Very impressive.
Man.
Is Fisher the engineer down there?
I'm glad you brought up Harrisburg.
Should we table this for future discussion, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Believe me, it takes.
One quick
longer.
thing before we, Teresa, when do you put the link on the city website? For the
Friday,
agenda?
when I sent out the
Friday,
agenda,
when you
I
send
put
it
it
out.
up, then I put the agenda on the website.
Packet as it is, it'd be too large to send out as an email to that
Yes.
many people. You know, you'd most likely be sending
Yeah,
out a
I
link
couldn't even get it to
and
stop well.
linking it all this way, but.
Karen, would it be too labor intensive to add a hyperlink to some subtop file of anything?
That's pretty good.
I don't know if we would need to.
Tell me what it is.
I'm sure it's
Believe me,
doable.
that report
I'm
takes
learning
me a lot longer than.
as I go on that website.
If you want pictures, I can add.
I know there are hyperlinks out there.
You'd have to create a separate subfile.
Alright, that's all I was gonna say.
Hold
on a minute.
It's gonna be a problem.
Yes, your question was the hyperlinks. I think that would be a huge project at this point. Right now, we've got the whole packet. It's just a matter of uploading the whole packet up there. So,
I mean, I'm sending you guys the whole packet in a PDF. I mean, just as easy to put the PDF out on the website.
I'd be looking
Yeah, that
for
would be a
either a motion to approve the whole packet being loaded the same time we get it in the box. No action, or a table.
Here's one question. As I scroll through this, is a proposed contract from Stockwell Engineers to the city a public record prior to this meeting? What they proposed to us, is that a public record Monday? Or is it a public record right now?
Say anything in the meeting's a public record. I don't know if it's the proposed is.
But you know what I'm saying.
If it's on the agenda, at that point, I would say it's public record.
If it's in city hands, it's a public record. It can be requested by the public through the FOIA process, which is a federal law. It is a public
If
record.
if I see this as an agenda item to do something, I should have the right to come ask, what's that contract for? And how much is it? Because it might be for $10 or $10 million. If it's $10 million, I might wanna come to the council and say BS or not. Cause we're gonna be talking about it, so it's essentially data that's gonna be presented at the meeting, or information that's going to the meeting. So it's gonna become public now. If that contract was under executive session stuff, then it would not be in our packet anyway. We would get that when we got to executive session. So,
So, I got just one quick question of some of this stuff. So let's say bid laws, we're doing a project and it's gonna be 35,000. And we go out and we get quotes. And we get quotes from 3 different companies or whatever. And all of a sudden that night, a fourth company that's seen the quotes that were already posted out there, he comes in and goes, wait a minute, I can do a lot cheaper than that.
bids are due at a certain time.
Deadline. Deadline. Deadline will be passed.
You're talking quotes.
Yeah, I'm talking quotes, yeah, that, there's,
Just,
The same thing.
just take the
You get your
payload
quote by Friday at
fiasco.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Went around and around and around.
It's
Yeah,
done.
if you close that, yeah.
I'm gonna answer that question as a public. If you got somebody that comes in and he's got something spec'd that meets your spec exactly, and he's cheaper than the other 3 guys that are out there, and he shows up at $6.59 and says, here's my quote, and he saves the city $1,000, you damn well better take that quote and put it through and save the city $1,000. If putting it out there made somebody come in and give you a quote and save $1,000, cool, there's $1,000 towards his whiteboard.
But I think Craig's point, like with the payloader, so we got all these quotes and then we table it. Now, all these quotes are out there and these prices. Now you got all these other companies coming in and come in next week, table again. Once again, their numbers are out there again. So I think what you're trying to say is that these companies don't like their numbers out there. So maybe, and that's maybe just something we've gotta, on the front end, not put in the packet. Just say, we've gathered quotes and then present those quotes at the meeting. Maybe that's just something we need to do.
Wouldn't you say though, once you deal with public entities all the time, that bid letting closes. Right. Once it's closed, I don't care if he's $1 million lower.
Yeah.
Bid letting is closed.
But there's a difference, Travis, between Craig in Craig's situation, buying equipment where he's buying off bidded contract, like the Sourcewell contract, he doesn't have a bid letting and he doesn't have a deadline. He's just going out and getting
Right.
quotes because he doesn't have to get bids. So to his point there, yeah, somebody could show up at the last minute.
Sure.
Now, where we tabled 2 or 3 times on a payloader discussion, those quotes were out there as part of the public record as soon as that meeting was done that night. So those numbers are out there, no matter what, because it's in the minutes,
Right.
what their quotes came in on. So the situation there where it went on additional meetings, that company's numbers are out there no matter what.
But my thing is like with the quote, where we don't have to bid or anything like that, like you were saying, somebody comes in at the last minute, well, that'd be so easy for anybody to come in, we don't even know who they are, and just say, you know what, I can do the job for $1,000 less or $500 less. No idea what kind of, if they're cutting lawn, no idea what they do.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, they're gonna come in and start throwing numbers at you guys, and
sure.
See,
So we could change it, instead of giving us the price in the package, they'll be presenting pricing at the council
yeah,
meeting.
right, it'd be easy for me to look if I was wanted to bid on stuff, well, geez, that'll be easy, I'll just put it together and be $100 less, and I'll give it to the council that night and let them, cause
But
it's done.
you're running, you have specifications for something, you have
I
you've
think
got
with
what
this,
you want, all that kind of stuff. I think it's a moot point, and you guys, if you wanna discuss this further on, I'm just glad that it got out in front of everybody to talk about it, okay?
I think that, we can work through those details, we can figure that piece out. That's the one thing that's hanging up right now.
Make motion to put the packet out in its entirety
At what time?
at the same time. it
When
would
it's
be
ready.
Same time it's available to us.
Available to us.
Okay, to be able to us, okay?
Got a motion?
Just say you're planning on too.
I would love it if planning and zoning was on there. If you wanna add it, I think it would be awesome from P and Z. I would love to see that happen.
What other meetings do we need to put on there?
Was it the only two that we agendized and put out?
I'm gonna let planning and zoning do their own thing. I'm just gonna keep it concentrated on.
We can't anyway, because it's not.
We've only got a motion, do we have a
Can I hear
second?
the motion again, please?
Getting
Motion is what?
Mark wants to hear the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Travis made the motion to post the packet in its entirety on the website when the agenda is posted.
Awesome.
Okay, got a second discussion,
In its entirety,
in its entirety.
nothing redacted.
Correct. That's the motion.
So in Teresa's report, when she mentions why we're going into executive session, or
I think you said, Mark, that our city staff would be able to know what to put in.
well, right now, I don't feel comfortable right now that a packet could be put out in its entirety without changes.
I think right now, it's only asked for Teresa's report tomorrow. Any of the reports that have been given, they would know what we want, and they would see that.
Most of the
Right.
stuff. they did.
That's probably the changes they have to make internally. To say,
An action items.
I recommend going for executive session for personnel.
That's what I thought. That's what I write it for, knowing that.
Alright, more discussion? Okay, time to vote. Nelson?
I'm looking at this agenda, I'm trying to see the eyes on it, and at this point, make sure I'm sorry. The motion, Travis, was what again? To put it on its entirety on Friday. Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Steele?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Am I?
No.
Motion carries. Alright. Any correspondence? None. We should go into executive session for personnel and for economic development.
Legal.
Legal.
Thank you again,
Good
guys,
ones.
for your time.
Thanks.
Everybody hang in there, Lori. Do we have a motion for that though?
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lori.
Have a good evening. This is
Yeah.
Cole.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Oh, did you make it?
I made it, Arden seconded it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?